Chapter 149. Mo Qingqing was completely speechless towards Nolan. This lass was intentionally here to create trouble for her. At this moment, Nolan was grinning as she looked at her. Fine, fine, fine. Screw me, I'll leave now. After speaking, Nolan gave Mo Qingqing a knowing look, and then smiled at Qin Wentian. Smelly brat, you better grab hold of this opportunity. This is a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. Who knows how many people in the royal capital are secretly in love with this lass, but someone seems to be possessed. As the sound of her voice faded, Nolan giggled as she left the area, giving Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing some space to themselves. This caused Mo Qingqing and Qin Wentian to be speechless. Especially the words spoken by that lass, it was extremely ambiguous. This caused the two of them to be silent for a moment, not knowing what to say. Qin Wentian glanced at Mo Qingqing. Her flawless jade-like skin, her slender figure, and her beautiful countenance. It was as though he could even feel her breathing. Unknowingly, Qin Wentian was already in a daze as he stared at her. The temptation of a beauty was too great for a youth of his age, especially when the beauty in front of him treated him very well. At this moment, Qin Wentian couldn't help but think, if Mo Qingqing really became his lover, what kind of scene would it be? As he thought about it, Qin Wentian was actually somewhat entranced. Mo Qingqing felt the gaze of Qin Wentian, and a shy expression appeared on her face, causing her to be even more stunned. However, that fellow was still staring at her, causing Mo Qingqing to stomp her feet. What are you looking at? Qin Wentian blinked his eyes, as though only now did he realize that he had lost his composure. He couldn't help but smile awkwardly. Naturally, I'm looking at a beauty. Humph, Mo Qingqing snorted lightly, but naturally, she wasn't angry. This kind of coquettish appearance contained a hint of simplicity and cuteness. Oh yeah, why were you so rash? Why did you fall into the 9 mystical palaces trap? Not only that, since you have the strength to obtain first place in the Junlin banquet, you should have informed the Emperor Star Academy about it. Do you know how dangerous it was this time around? Luckily, you were lucky. Mo Qingqing's voice contained hints of rebuke in it. This fellow was truly too audacious, causing everyone to break out in cold sweat for him. For a power like the 9 mystical palace, how would I know that they would use such despicable methods? Qin Wentian bitterly smiled. Humph, you can't be so careless in the future. The purpose of the 9 mystical palace this time around was to allow Luo Qianqiu to obtain the top position in the Junlin banquet. How could they not plot against you? Mo Qingqing was speechless. This fellow had suffered so much, yet his thoughts were still so simple. Naturally, since he didn't think that others would harm him, this also proved that his heart was kind and simple. Although he was a little stupid, it was still extremely rare. If Qin Wentian was really like Chu Tianjiao and Yi Wukei, intelligent yet proficient in scheming, Mo Qingqing wouldn't have been so close to him. What kind of person she was, would naturally be the type of person she liked to be with. Many thanks for the reminder, beautiful lady. Qin Wentian laughed. It seemed like he had to learn his lesson in the future. If it wasn't for Senior Hong's presence this time around, things would have been extremely difficult to resolve. After all, Luo Qianqiu's father, Luo Tianya, had personally appeared. The current him could only look up to such existences at the Heavenly Dipper realm. Qin Wentian would never be able to forget Luo Tianya's domineering aura. I didn't expect you to have learned how to be so glib-tongued. Mo Qingqing giggled as she stared at Qin Wentian. If not, wouldn't I be called a Dumbo by others again? Qin Wentian shrugged his shoulders as he laughed, causing Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes to flicker as she giggled. So it turned out that this Dumbo still remembered the snowy scenery from that day. Mo Qingqing didn't know that the experience of being together with someone like her was something that no one would be able to forget so easily. At this moment, the sound of footsteps drifted over from the courtyard. Qin Wentian inclined his head and cast his gaze behind him as he asked, "Who's there?" No one replied. The sound of footsteps continued, causing Qin Wentian to furrow his brows. Usually, when people came to his residence, they would first inform him of their arrival, unless it was someone who had a very good relationship with him. But at this moment, the silhouette in front of him was wearing a conical bamboo hat and had his head lowered. He didn't know who this person was, but this person actually dared to come to his residence for no reason at all. "Who are you?" Qin Wentian's voice grew colder as he unhappily asked. This was his private residence. Students of the 4th level and above were all allowed to have their own private residence within the Emperor Star Academy. "Be careful," Mo Qingqing warned in a low voice. The silhouette continued walking forward, causing Qin Wentian to feel a trace of an unusual aura. "I am." The silhouette slowly spoke, as he inclined his head. Qin Wentian saw a masked face, completely covered by a black veil, revealing only a pair of eyes that were incomparably sharp. Abruptly, a terrifying killing intent erupted forth from the silhouette, as though it was a hurricane of killing intent, gushing straight towards Qin Wentian. "The person who will kill you." As the sound of his voice faded, the silhouette soared through the air and abruptly blasted out a palm imprint towards Qin Wentian. This was actually the innate technique Qin Wentian had cultivated before, the Thousand Hands imprint. As the palm imprint descended, it was as though an innumerable number of palm imprints blasted towards Qin Wentian, containing a terrifying might. Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. Abruptly, an ancient halberd appeared in his hands as he took a step forward. Although he knew that the silhouette was in existence at the Yuanfu realm, he didn't hesitate to advance. He didn't retreat because Mo Qingqing was right beside him. "Retreat." Mo Qingqing's beautiful countenance stiffened, as she dashed forwards. However, although Qin Wentian was in a daze, his reaction speed was shockingly fast. The ancient halberd in his hands slashed out in rage, colliding with the silhouette's palm imprint. Qin Wentian, who was at the arterial circulation realm, had no way to withstand such a fearsome attack. With a thunderous boom, the ancient halberd in his hands was directly flung out of his hands, while his body spat out mouthfuls of blood. He slammed into a stone chair, shattering it into pieces. One could see how tyrannical the strength of the silhouette's attack was. At this moment, Mo Qingqing's aura completely erupted forth, exuding the aura of someone at the Yuanfu realm. This scene caused the silhouette to be momentarily stunned, but it was only for an instant. He had to kill Qin Wentian in the shortest time possible, or he would lose his chance. Taking a step forward, his killing intent surged to the extreme, as he ferociously blasted out a few terrifying palm imprints towards Mo Qingqing. The palm imprints blotted out the skies and covered the earth as they blasted towards Mo Qingqing, causing her internal organs to tremble violently as she retreated unceasingly. She had no way to block the silhouette's advance. "Run, he can only kill you in the shortest amount of time possible." Mo Qingqing howled, as though she was informing the experts of the Emperor Star Academy. Qin Wentian also knew that Mo Qingqing was right. He had never imagined that there would be someone who would dare to act against him in the Emperor Star Academy. Ren Qianqing had also been too careless. He only wanted to ensure Qin Wentian's safety when Qin Wentian exited the academy tomorrow. However, it was obvious that his opponent was extremely intelligent as well. Not only was he intelligent, he had even infiltrated the Emperor Star Academy's internal affairs. Bzzz, a raging wind gusted by as Qin Wentian directly flung out his ancient halberd. However, he was completely unable to block the attack of his opponent. The silhouette of the silhouette slammed out with a palm strike, causing the ancient halberd to fly out of his hands. His body floated in the air as he lunged towards Qin Wentian. Executing the Garuda movement technique, Qin Wentian's speed was akin to a phantom as he retreated. He only needed a short amount of time. His opponent wouldn't have any intentions of harming Mo Qingqing, he only needed to stall for time. Who dares to be so impudent in the academy? A roar of rage echoed out, shaking the skies above the Emperor Star Academy. This caused the eyes of the silhouette to flicker, as traces of impatience could be seen in his eyes. Naturally, this Yuanfu cultivator wouldn't send himself to his death after killing Qin Wentian. At his level, it was impossible for him to willingly become a death warrior for others. Little White. Mo Qingqing seemed to have sensed his gaze as she called out to the white crane. The white crane swooped down from the skies, its sharp claws directly grabbing towards the silhouette. Scram! That silhouette exploded with rage as he punched out with his palm. However, the white crane was a 7th-level demonic beast, and its strength was comparable to Wu Xiu, who was at the Yuanfu realm. How could it escape so easily? That silhouette was completely enraged as he blasted out a few more attacks. The white crane screeched in agony as it fell to the side, while that silhouette continued to lunge towards the fleeing Qin Wentian. Too late. That silhouette's eyes were filled with anxiety. He gathered a terrifying amount of energy and blasted out an incomparably sharp aura towards Qin Wentian, wanting to penetrate through Qin Wentian's body. Collapse. Mo Qingqing had already closed in on Qin Wentian when the white crane was delaying the silhouette. At this moment, she directly lunged towards Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian's body to fall to the ground. The terrifying sharpness of her aura brushed past his back, causing him to feel an extreme coldness. There's not enough time. That silhouette's countenance was extremely unsightly to behold. He blasted out another palm imprint, and after which, he ignored the life and death of Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing. He turned and fled with the speed of lightning. If he delayed any longer, his life would surely be spared. A thunderous sound echoed out. After which, Qin Wentian felt a terrifying force slamming into him, causing him to cough out a mouthful of blood. However, he didn't have the time to care about his injuries. Right now, he only wanted to know how the silhouette on his back was faring. Qingqing. Qin Wentian called out. At this moment, he felt his heart pounding violently. He was actually so afraid. A drop of fresh blood dripped onto the ground beside Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian to feel as though his heart was being stifled. At this moment, he was truly afraid, a fear that originated from the depths of his heart. He didn't even dare to move his body. I'm fine. A light voice drifted out. However, when this voice entered into Qin Wentian's ears, it was like a heavenly melody. The weight on his back suddenly lightened. That silhouette rolled down to his side, directly facing him. Mo Qingqing's countenance was just inches away from him, causing people to hold their breaths. Looking at the haggard and pale countenance, as well as the bloodstains at the corners of her mouth, Qin Wentian deeply felt his own helplessness. How dangerous! Mo Qingqing smiled at him. That smile of hers was so heartbreaking that it could shatter the hearts of others. Who was it? Who dared to kill him in the Emperor Star Academy? Qin Wentian howled in rage in his heart, as an intense killing intent surged forth. Who was it exactly? After the Junlin banquet, they didn't hesitate to pay any price to kill him. Qin Wentian stretched out his trembling hands, gently stroking the bloodstains at the corners of Mo Qingqing's mouth. He also smiled, but his heart was as cold as ice. Are you really fine? Qin Wentian asked in a low voice. I still have some medicinal pills. Mo Qingqing retrieved a medicinal pill from her robes and fed it to herself. After which, she turned to Qin Wentian and asked, "Can you help me up?" As she spoke, a faint blush could be seen on her pale face. Qin Wentian nodded his head. After which, he helped Mo Qingqing up as he spoke, "Rest well." Okay. Mo Qingqing closed her eyes and began to meditate. At this moment, more and more people arrived. They were frantically searching the skies, and at the same time, there were also people who came down to check on Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing's injuries. Who dares to act so audaciously? Old Gu had an expression of pity on his face when he saw that Mo Qingqing was injured. The culprit had already fled before we arrived, and didn't even have the time to kill Wentian. Evidently, he knew that he wouldn't be able to make it in time. But in such a short period of time, it's impossible for someone to escape from the academy under our watch. In the air, Ren Qianqing's countenance turned ashen. He had been too careless. He had thought of the possibility of an assassination happening outside the academy, but he didn't expect that it would actually happen within the academy. Are you saying that there's a traitor in our Emperor Star Academy? Old Gu's eyes gleamed with sharpness, as his killing intent intensified. The killing intent radiating from Qin Wentian was similarly intense. He had displayed his brilliance during the Junlin banquet. It seemed like there was someone who wanted him dead. Chapter 150. In the Emperor Star Academy, the surroundings of Qin Wentian's courtyard were soon filled with chaos. He was surrounded by layers upon layers of encirclement. Qin Wentian had just obtained the position of the top ranker in the Junlin banquet when he was assassinated. To the Emperor Star Academy, this was something they couldn't tolerate. If they didn't find out who the assassin was, there was a possibility that something like this would happen again. Wentian, what technique did the assassin use? Old Gu walked to the side of Qin Wentian as he inquired. The Thousand Hands imprint. Other than that, the only other technique he could unleash was the sharpness of his sword qi. However, I don't think that's the case. The assassin was intentionally hiding his strength, and didn't dare to release his astral soul. Qin Wentian replied. Indeed. Old Gu nodded. The Thousand Hands imprint was a forbidden technique in the 5th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. There were still many people who could obtain it and cultivate it. Immediately send someone to ask the guards of the 5th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion if there's anyone who borrowed the Thousand Hands imprint recently. In the past month, bring out all of them. Ren Qianqing stood in the air as he spoke. Right now, he was extremely angry. As the people below departed, several elders flew over. Their countenances were all extremely unsightly as they asked, "There's someone who wanted to deal with Qin Wentian? How audacious!" They all coldly spoke, only to see Ren Qianqing staring at them as he asked, "Among you, who was the one who gathered together with you?" The countenances of the elders froze as they felt a chill in their hearts. Ren Qianqing was suspecting one of them. The assassination this time is no small matter. Everyone is a suspect, and it has already been confirmed that there's a spy in our Emperor Star Academy. Although this has nothing to do with any of you, in order to ferret out the culprit, we have to investigate thoroughly. Ren Qianqing's words caused the elders to nod their heads. One of them spoke, "Yao Feng and I saw them on the way here, and we knew that something big had happened. Hence, we came over to take a look." Qin Wentian's gaze shifted to the person who spoke. This person was none other than Janice. "Janice and I have some enmity. Maybe he wants to kill me, but this place is the Emperor Star Academy. He wouldn't take such a risk and act against me at such a sensitive time." Qin Wentian thought to himself. He could only say that there was a possibility that it was Jiang Zhen, but the possibility was still relatively small. Ren Qianqing was silent for a moment, before he continued, "In these 2 days, all the Yuanfu cultivators of the Emperor Star Academy are to make a trip to the Law Enforcement Hall. Match up all the traces of your movements, and we will eliminate all of you. Please cooperate with us." Ren Qianqing's words caused the hearts of the spectators to involuntarily tremble. Wasn't he planning to investigate the entire academy? Not only that, Yuanfu realm cultivators were all existences with high statuses in the academy. Yet, Ren Qianqing still wanted to investigate. It seemed like he wouldn't stop until he found the culprit. From this, one could see how much importance he placed on Qin Wentian. "Alright, you guys can go now." After Ren Qianqing finished speaking, the crowd left one after another. Then, he said to Qin Wentian, "You two take good care of yourself. Leave this matter to me." "Alright." Qin Wentian nodded his head, as he sat down and looked at Mo Qingcheng. He didn't have any problems with this, but if it wasn't for Mo Qingqing earlier, there wouldn't be a Qin Wentian today. Thinking of this, Qin Wentian's heart turned exceptionally cold. The countenance of the young girl in front of him gradually turned rosy, and Qin Wentian also gradually calmed down. The effects of medicinal pills were truly astonishing. No wonder powerful alchemists were even rarer than weaponsmiths. After sitting down for a long time, Qin Wentian saw that Mo Qingqing's countenance had regained its original rosy color, and there was even a hint of redness in her cheeks. Upon seeing such a scene, his Dao heart involuntarily pounded. If you continue to stare at her like that, she won't even dare to open her eyes. It was unknown when Nolan had arrived. As the sound of her voice faded, Mo Qingqing opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes were like water, regaining their luster. She rolled her eyes at Qin Wentian, as traces of shyness could be seen on her face. Don't talk nonsense. Mo Qingqing stood up and spoke to Nolan, her words causing Qin Wentian to blink his eyes as he sat there. After which, a smile appeared on his face. Seems like it was because he was staring at Mo Qingqing that she didn't dare to open her eyes. Little white, I have wronged you. Mo Qingqing also fed a medicinal pill to her white crane. Qin Wentian stood up, staring at the back view of Mo Qingqing. She turned around, and her beautiful eyes were smiling at him. He still couldn't say a single word of thanks. It wasn't that he didn't want to, it was just that it wasn't enough to express his feelings. In the future, such a thing will definitely not happen again. I will protect you. Qin Wentian choked out, causing Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes to blink as she blushed. Who needs your protection? After which, she mounted the back of the white crane. Little white, let's go. Nolan also stepped forward, smiling as she glanced at Qin Wentian. Your skin is pretty thick. The white crane soared into the skies, as the beautiful woman flew away. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the skies as a silly smile appeared on his face. The words spoken earlier were somewhat ambiguous. Not only that, Mo Qingqing's cultivation base was already at the Yuanfu realm. How could he protect her now? Thinking of this, Qin Wentian silently turned and continued his cultivation. His conviction to become stronger grew stronger and stronger. In the depths of the dark forest, the pitch-black castle was completely silent, as though it was an abandoned place. Within the black castle, there were numerous prisons constructed from tough and cold metal. In the corners of these cold prisons, one could occasionally see the silhouettes of living humans. This was an ice-cold prison. Inside, other than Yin Qi, there was only Yin Qi. The sound of footsteps could be heard, as though it was the only sound in the entire black castle. Qin Chuan. Abruptly, a cold voice drifted over. Within one of the prisons, Qin Chuan opened his turbid eyes as he flicked his disheveled long hair, staring at the silhouette outside the prison. It seemed that it wasn't time for food to be delivered yet, right? After which, he heard the sound of the lock being unlocked. This scene caused a cold light to flash in Qin Chuan's eyes. What tricks did this person want to play? Someone entered and unlocked the shackles on his body, causing Qin Chuan to feel bewildered. Let's go. Where to? Qin Chuan coldly asked. Come out. That person didn't reply. Qin Chuan furrowed his brows, but he still followed him out of the prison. The person in front led Qin Chuan out, while the person behind locked the prison. After which, he glanced at the prison opposite him and coldly snorted, what a dog-shit lucky fellow. The adopted son he adopted actually managed to obtain the top position in the Junlin banquet. After speaking, he departed as well. The prison opposite them was still as cold as ever. At this moment, a figure curled up in the corner of the prison opened his eyes. His turbid and aged eyes gleamed with sharpness. This person was naturally Qin Chuan's father, Qin Wu. Outside the black stronghold, Qin Chuan breathed in the fresh air, feeling the humidity of the morning air. A puzzled expression appeared on his face. At this moment, all the shackles on his body had already been unlocked. Not only that, there were only 2 people left beside him who weren't that strong. The words "you are free" reverberated in his ears, causing him to feel a sense of surrealism in his heart. Was this a conspiracy? After standing there for a long time, Qin Chuan finally spoke. "Where are we going?" "To the royal capital." "Let's go." One of the 2 spoke. A few silhouettes stepped into the dark forest. The sunlight gradually warmed up. Qin Chuan and the others continued on their way out of the dark forest, finally exiting it. Once again, he saw lively silhouettes. This time, the atmosphere wasn't as lifeless as it used to be. However, all of this didn't matter. Because, Qin Chuan saw 2 familiar faces. "Father." Qin Yao's eyes flickered with tears. She rushed over and dove headfirst into Qin Chuan's embrace. Qin Wentian also walked to Qin Chuan's side as he called out, "Father." "Yao Wentian, what's going on?" Qin Chuan asked in puzzlement. Qin Yao moved her head away from Qin Chuan's embrace. A radiant smile could be seen on her face as she replied, "Father, it's Wentian. He became the champion of the Junlin banquet. Now, not only does the Emperor Star Academy and the Divine Weapon Pavilion support him, there's also a Heavenly Dipper sovereign who wants the 3rd Prince Chu Tianjiao to release him. Champion of the Junlin banquet, Heavenly Dipper sovereign from the Emperor Star Academy and Divine Weapon Pavilion." Qin Chuan was momentarily stunned as he fell silent. Staring at Qin Wentian, he inclined his head and drew in a deep breath. Qin Chuan's cloudy eyes were filled with tears. Taking a step forward, Qin Chuan embraced Qin Wentian in his arms. Tears streamed down his face, yet a gratified smile could be seen on his face. "Everyone says that my son can't cultivate, but I, Qin Chuan, have always believed that when my son explodes forth with radiance, he would be able to make everyone else stand on the ground and look up to him." Qin Chuan's voice was filled with emotions. With a son like this, what more could a husband ask for? Although they weren't blood-related, they were still like blood-related children. "Champion of the Junlin banquet, I'm afraid that autumn snow isn't even worthy of carrying my son's shoes." Qin Chuan was still brooding over the actions of the Bai clan in the past. His Qin clan didn't mind, but back then, autumn snow wanted to use the cruelest methods to humiliate Qin Wentian. "Father, when Wentian became the champion of the Junlin banquet, Autumn Snow and Bai Qingsong were both in awe. Autumn Snow didn't even have the qualifications to participate, and could only look up to him from afar." Qin Yao smiled. "Father, everything is in the past now." Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath. "Yes, let's talk on the way." Qin Yao laughed. The guards escorting Qin Chuan turned and departed. Following behind Qin Wentian were a few other experts from the Emperor Star Academy. Upon seeing Qin Chuan, they all nodded their heads. These seniors are Yuanfu realm experts from the Emperor Star Academy, and are here to protect Wentian. Qin Yao explained, causing Qin Chuan to be even more shocked. Now that Wentian was out, there were already Yuanfu realm experts protecting him. From this, one could see how much importance the Emperor Star Academy placed on Qin Wentian. Qin Chuan was incomparably gratified that this youth had finally grown up. In the royal palace, in a luxurious room, Chu Tianjiao sat on the ground, staring at the dragon couch in front of her. Over there, a silhouette laid there, his countenance somewhat pale. "Father, your son is useless. I can only watch as your condition worsens, yet I'm helpless to do anything." Chu Tianjiao spoke with guilt in his voice. "I don't blame you. I'll go there at any time. Tomorrow, I'll pay a visit to the ancestor. From now on, I'll leave the Chu country to you." The silhouette on the dragon couch quietly stated. "Is the ancestor still around?" Chu Tianjiao asked. "Of course. However, only the emperor can enter the Dragon Pool Pavilion. This is the rule of our Chu clan." After you inherit the throne, you should pay a visit to the ancestor. Although the ancestor doesn't care about the matters of the outside world, if the Chu clan really reaches a point of life and death, the ancestor would definitely be there. Also, if you have any matters, you should consult your elder brother. Although he's disappointed in me, he's ultimately still the bloodline of the Chu clan. That person sighed. It seemed that the Emperor of Chu didn't disregard the eldest prince of the Chu country as much as the common people imagined. On the contrary, he had always been clear about how outstanding his eldest son was. Chapter 151. Chu Tianjiao left his father's room. The people of Chu didn't know that the Emperor of Chu had always been bedridden. Even those high-grade medicinal pills had no effect on his illness. The Chu king could still faintly remember that this illness of his was only discovered after the death of Qin Wu, and after the Qin clan was transferred from the royal capital to the Sky Harmony city. Gradually, his illness worsened. Chu Tianjiao arrived at a great hall. In front of him, there were a few iron-blooded guards standing on both sides. Their bodies were as straight as spears, unmoving, as though they were statues. Firstly, gather 10 Yuanfu dragon guards here. Today, no one is allowed to get close to my father. Remember, no one. Secondly, at the front lines, execute the decapitation plan. Thirdly, inform the Black Stronghold to increase their strength and protect Qin Wu to the death. Fourthly, all the commanders of the armies in the royal palace are to keep a close watch on their family members. If there are any signs of their family members moving, immediately control them or kill them. Fifthly. Chu Tianjiao paused for a moment before continuing, forget it, I will personally negotiate with the 9 mystical palace. This time around, the champion of the Junlin banquet was seized by the Emperor Star Academy, and not the 9 mystical palace. Most probably, the 9 mystical palace wouldn't wait for another opportunity. Now, it was time to slowly erode the heart of Chu. Luo Tianya and his son should be able to get people to cooperate with him. Those statue-like guards silently vanished, as though they had never appeared before, to carry out Chu Tianjiao's orders. Chu Tianjiao turned his head and cast a glance at the depths of the great hall, at the heavily guarded room. He didn't believe that anyone would be able to infiltrate this place. After Chu Tianjiao issued his orders, the entire Chu country began to operate like a machine. The largest transportation network in Chu, the Sky Transport Network, also seemed to be bustling with activity. And at the same time he issued his orders, the cold and gloomy castle in the dark forest was still as cold as ever. A horse carriage arrived at the entrance of the Black Stronghold. After which, the cold gates of the Black Stronghold slowly opened as a group of silhouettes walked out, entering the Black Stronghold. This group of silhouettes directly arrived at the entrance of a prison cell. Staring at the silhouette seated within, one could see that it was none other than Qin Wu. Open the door, the person holding the token outside the cell said coldly. The guard glanced at him. Although he was a little hesitant, he still unlocked the key and opened the cell. The figure holding the token entered with the guard and continued, open his shackles. No. The guard refused. No one had such authority. Puchi. Just as his voice fell, a sharp long dagger directly pierced his heart from behind. At the same time, a hand covered his mouth. The dagger stirred and the man's eyes slowly closed. The one with the command tile found the key, and then undid the shackles on Qin Hao's body, undoing the tattered clothes on his body. Qin Hao's eyes were still closed as he slowly stood up. Someone walked in, took out a new set of clothes and draped them over his body, as if he was doing something extremely ordinary. Someone intercepted the prisoner. Suddenly, a patrolling guard noticed the situation here and immediately issued a warning. The figures who had just entered began to move, releasing a silent killing intent like flickering ghosts. Qin Hao's eyes finally opened. There was no sharpness in them, only calmness. Is everything prepared? Qin Hao inquired. Not yet. that person replied. However, Qin Hao didn't have any strange expressions on his face, as though he had already expected this. Young Master Chuan has been rescued, the balance of power has been disturbed. Chu Tianjiao is already preparing to act. If we don't act now, Chu Tianjiao might execute the general at any time. We can only act earlier. That person spoke methodically. He still referred to Qin Hao as general. In the end, we still have to be enemies with Chu. Qin Chuan sighed as he stared at the ice-cold prison in front of him. From the moment the Wu King passed away, it was already destined. The 12 generals swore an oath to avenge the Wu King. The coming-of-age ceremony of their descendants is to swear this blood oath. However, the generals have been enduring this all this while. My father and the other uncles could only retreat in order to advance, recuperating and building up their strength. That person spoke in a low voice. However, his voice was exceptionally heavy, containing an iron-blooded aura. It was as though even the death of the Wu King had a history that no one knew of. Once, when the Wu King shook the heavens and earth, the late emperor was able to sit on the throne and rule over the world. However, when the rabbits died, the dogs roared. That period of history, only the generals of Chu who fought on the front lines knew the inside story. As for the people of Chu, it was merely a baseless rumor. Nobody knew what had happened back then. But that period of history, although it seemed exceptionally peaceful, there was already a terrifying storm brewing behind it. Outside the Black Stronghold, the killing intent permeated the air as a mysterious troop of soldiers unknowingly arrived. These people were all clad in armor, with helmets on their heads, resembling true soldiers. Their facial features couldn't be seen clearly, but their strength was terrifying to the extreme. They were the elites of the elites. In fact, after the Wu King passed away, the Qin clan moved to Sky Harmony City. The elites of the Wu Guards were no longer in the Qin clan, and were scattered all over the place. Naturally, Chu Tianjiao also knew some clues. Given how vast Chu was, their intelligence network was naturally extremely terrifying. Hence, Chu Tianjiao had never once thought of killing Qin Wu and Qin Chuan. He was almost certain that as long as Qin Wu died, the Chu country would instantly sink into a terrifying vortex. The power hidden in the darkness was sufficient to cause the royal family to tremble. Chu Tianjiao didn't make a move, neither did Qin Wu. This balance was maintained for an entire year. But following the Junlin banquet, this balance seemed to have been pried open, causing the balance to tilt. Hence, Chu Tianjiao decided not to wait any longer. Today, the messengers from the Sky Transport Network, as well as the intelligence agencies from the other powers, all started to move. They headed to various locations in Chu, and even to other countries. It was as though a terrifying hurricane was about to occur in Chu. And with regards to everything that was happening, other than an extremely small number of people in Chu, the rest had no idea. Everyone was still living their own lives, some were dangerous, some were ordinary. In fact, even Qin Chuan didn't know about this. Qin Wu had never mentioned this to him before. Qin He and Qin Yi, who were fighting on the front lines, were naturally the same. As for Qin Wentian, he naturally didn't know. In his heart, Grandpa Qin Wu had always been a gentle person, and didn't seem like a general who had gone through countless battles. He liked to be quiet, had an amiable personality, and rarely moved about outside. Other than this, Qin Wentian didn't have much of an impression of him. In fact, Qin Chuan rarely went to disturb Qin Wu. The two of them didn't meet often, and Qin Chuan rarely went to disturb Qin Wu, who liked to be quiet. In the manner that Qin Wentian stayed in, Qin Yao personally prepared a banquet. The family of three ate happily, enjoying the simple happiness that they hadn't experienced in a long time. It's the Memorial Day again. It's already been a whole year, I wonder if your mother is still in Sky Harmony City. Qin Chuan thought of his wife, and felt some sadness in his heart. She must have been very worried about him during this 1 year. Father, mother should have returned to Sky Harmony City. When do you plan to set off? Let's go back to see mother and make her happy. Qin Yao happily added some food to Qin Chuan's bowl. Qin Chuan nodded his head. There's still second and third brother. I'm not too sure about their whereabouts. Naturally, the most important thing is still your grandpa. He's still suffering in the Black Stronghold. Grandpa will be fine. Qin Wentian laughed, as though he was consoling Qin Chuan. Good child, when you grow up, you will be even more powerful. At that time, even the royal clan of Chu would have to fear you. Qin Chuan ruffled Qin Wentian's hair. The current Qin Wentian was much more mature compared to a year ago. But regardless of whether he grew up or not, in Qin Chuan's heart, he would always be a child. On the way back, Qin Chuan had been listening to Qin Yao talking about how powerful Qin Wentian was. Qin Chuan was filled with gratification. Evidently, he hadn't expected that Qin Wentian would be able to reach this step in the short span of a year. Junior brother Qin. At this moment, a silhouette walked over, stopping in the distance as he called out to Qin Wentian. Senior brother, is there something you need? Qin Wentian stood up and walked over. This person was the person who was investigating the assassination, and had been protecting him for the past 2 days. The Emperor Star Academy had placed a great deal of importance on yesterday's incident. With regards to the person who tried to assassinate you, the Academy has already made some guesses. I'm afraid that the results will be out very soon. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered, as a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Thank you for your hard work. There's one more thing. Over at the Emperor Star Academy's side, he wants us to hand over Qin Yao. He wants to bring her back to Snowcloud Country. The person continued. It's best if you tell his people to scram. A cold light flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes. Everything that had happened at the Junlin banquet had already proven Xiao Lv's stance. The Academy will naturally handle this matter. One last thing, Old Ren wants to know when you are preparing to head to the Heavenly Star Pavilion. That person laughed, as though this was the real purpose of his visit. Ren Qianqing hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to head to the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion as soon as possible. I will head there as soon as possible. Qin Wentian replied. He also wanted to know what secrets the Heavenly Star Pavilion held, to be able to cause the 9 mystical palace to place so much importance on it. Back then, Luo Qianya had a falling out with the Emperor Star Academy because of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, and now, the 9 mystical palace wanted Luo Qianxiu to enter the 7th level. Okay, work hard. That person patted Qin Wentian on his shoulders before departing. In his heart, he was also very curious about the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. Sadly, he had never obtained the first ranking of the Junlin banquet, and naturally didn't have the qualifications to enter. Instead, he hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to unravel the secrets within. Chapter 152. A day had already passed since the assassination attempt on Qin Wentian, yet the Emperor Star Academy was still as apprehensive as ever. However, the security around the academy was no longer as tight as before, allowing people to enter and leave freely. After Janus exited the Emperor Star Academy, he strolled along the streets of the royal capital. His gaze was calm, yet it was unknown what he was thinking about. This time around, regarding the assassination attempt by Qin Wentian, the Emperor Star Academy's investigation was simply too terrifying. Not only that, the Emperor Star Academy had interrogated every single Yuanfu realm cultivator in detail. Not only that, they had to have 3 witnesses. If they couldn't find any clues, they would continue to push the timeline back, and investigate what all the Yuanfu realm cultivators in the academy were doing before the assassination attempt. With such a terrifying level of investigation, those who were not suspicious would be investigated one by one. The truth would come to light sooner or later. It was only a matter of time. Janus furrowed his brows, as though he was thinking about something. At this moment, he abruptly halted his steps. The aura he exuded instantly exploded forth as he released his astral souls. Bzzz, from the side, a long spear shot forth like a venomous snake, akin to a bolt of lightning. Janus roared in rage, as a violent hurricane enveloped his body. He consecutively blasted out a few palm strikes, forcefully blocking the long spear in front of him. After which, several Yuanfu realm cultivators appeared around him. They were all masked and dressed in black, exuding killing intent as they advanced towards him. They didn't say anything. It was as though they were only here to kill Janus. Such a scene caused Janus's countenance to turn extremely unsightly. He angrily rebuked, "What? Do you want to silence me?" As the sound of his voice faded, Janus discovered that the people around him all halted their steps. This scene caused Janus's heart to pound, as his countenance instantly paled. He seemed to have realized that he had said the wrong thing. Indeed, the surrounding people all removed their masks, revealing their original appearances. Janus's countenance was as black as a sheet. "Everyone, what are you all doing?" These people who appeared were actually students from the Emperor Star Academy. Evidently, Janus had fallen into a trap. "Elder Jiangzhen, are you still going to pretend?" The person standing in front of Janus was none other than Elder Qian Shou of the Law Enforcement Hall. His gaze was ice-cold as he stated, "After this investigation, there are only 2 suspects remaining, and you are one of them." As expected, the truth was revealed after a single test. "Janus, who ordered you to do this?" Since Janus said that he wanted to silence Qin Wentian, it was clear that other than his original intention, there was someone else behind the scenes. Although Janus hated Qin Wentian, and both of them had a grudge against each other, it wasn't to the extent that he would take such a huge risk just because of a personal grudge. Before the assassination, he already knew that the risk was extremely high. But if he succeeded, everything would be worth it. He would leave the Emperor Star Academy and leave Chu. Unfortunately, he failed. "Who do you think has the power to make me work for him?" Janus asked with a smile. Thousand Hands furrowed his brows. Janus's words seemed to be intentionally pushing the blame onto Chu Tianjiao. However, Thousand Hands was still skeptical of his words. Staring at Janus, a cold glint of light flickered in his eyes. Most probably, he wouldn't be able to get any information out of Janus. As an elder of the Emperor Star Academy, you actually dared to assassinate someone from the elite academy. Your crime is punishable by death. Thousand Hands coldly stated, "Kill him on the spot." As the sound of his voice faded, the surrounding people all exploded forth with intense killing intent. "Thousand Hands, you actually don't care about our friendship. No matter what, I'm still an elder of the academy, and have served for many years. How can you kill me just like that?" Janus roared, his countenance turning extremely unsightly. Evidently, he didn't expect Thousand Hands to be so ruthless. However, how could Thousand Hands care about him? He directly turned and walked in the direction of the Emperor Star Academy. Behind him, a battle erupted. Not long after, on the main road of the royal capital, a corpse quietly laid there. Beside the corpse, someone spoke, "Give him a proper burial." After all, he was an elder of the Emperor Star Academy. The death of Janus, in the royal capital, was an extremely small matter. It only caused some ripples in the Emperor Star Academy. However, in reality, it caused many undercurrents to flow in the dark. Using this incident, the Emperor Star Academy forcefully expressed their stance. Not only that, they would continue to investigate who Janus had been in contact with, and who exactly was the mastermind behind this. When Qin Wentian received the news of Janus' death, he was stunned. That elder who had always been biased against him and made things difficult for him in every possible way, had actually died so silently. Not only that, the person who tried to assassinate him was actually Janus. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't feel any pity for Janus. That time, not only did Janus almost take his life, he almost caused the death of Mo Qingqing as well. That scene of fresh blood dripping onto the ground, as well as the radiant smile on that beautiful countenance, was something that Qin Wentian would never be able to forget. At this moment, within the Emperor Star Academy, in front of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, Qin Wentian inclined his head, staring at one of the most iconic buildings of the Emperor Star Academy. The Heavenly Star Pavilion had a total of 9 levels, and the higher one went, the narrower the space would be. However, the number of people who had managed to enter the 7th level of the Emperor Star Academy could be counted on one's fingers. Even the elders of the academy didn't have the authority to enter. As for exchanging Yuan meteor stones for it, it was simply impossible. Hence, the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion was prepared for the champion of the Junlin banquet. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze back as he stepped into the Heavenly Star Pavilion. After becoming the champion of the Junlin banquet, the grade of his Emperor Star Jade Medallion was directly raised to the 7th level. Before entering the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, Qin Wentian first went to the 6th level. Here, the best Yuanfu realm cultivation arts, as well as top-tier Earth-grade innate techniques could be found. Qin Wentian found the Yuanfu manual for the Garuda movement technique and borrowed it out, storing it in his interspatial ring. This movement technique was extremely important to him. As for the other top-tier Earth-grade innate techniques, Qin Wentian didn't bother looking at them. Currently, he had already cultivated several mid-tier Earth-grade innate techniques, yet he was still unable to reach the highest level. There was no meaning in trying to comprehend top-tier Earth-grade innate techniques. Although the higher the grade of the innate techniques, the more powerful they would be, if you didn't have the ability to control them, it would only produce the opposite effect. For example, the Great Dream Halberd art he created himself. Although the grade of the innate technique wasn't that high, because it was created by him, it could be said to be perfect when used. Ascending the stairs to the 6th level, an old man quietly laid there. His entire body was covered with dust, and even his hair had turned silvery gray. It was unknown how many years it had been since he last moved. "Senior." Qin Wentian called out. "Go up." The old man seemed to know who it was as he spoke in a low voice. Qin Wentian didn't say anything else. He stood there and bowed to the old man. No one was allowed to enter the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, but it was inevitable that there would be people who coveted it. There was no need to doubt the strength of the protector of this level. Qin Wentian arrived at the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. Here, there was a bookshelf, and there seemed to be a small number of books on it. In addition to the bookshelves, there were 3 doors in different directions. 3 numbers were engraved on each of the doors. From left to right, they were 7, 8, and 9. It was as though these 3 doors represented the 7th, 8th, and 9th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. As for the higher levels, in fact, there was nothing at all. This mysterious 7th level, Qin Wentian had thought of many possibilities, but he didn't expect it to be so simple. There were only 3 doors and a single bookshelf. Qin Wentian first walked to the side of the bookshelf and flipped through it, as his heart trembled. To think that there was actually a Heavenly Dipper sovereign cultivation art here. This cultivation art should be sufficient to cause a huge commotion in Chu. However, Qin Wentian noticed a booklet beside the cultivation art. On it, a few words were engraved. War Beast Index. Qin Wentian flipped it open, and very quickly, he was deeply captivated by the contents. Above the 9 heavenly layers, there are countless constellations, each with their own merits. The strong would be stronger if they used them, while the weak would be weaker if they used them. However, the astral souls condensed from these constellations can be differentiated by their strength. The Venerate Heavens sect collected countless experts from the Grand Xia Empire, and chose the strongest 360 types of astral souls and recorded them into the War Beast Index. This sentence was the primer, and was also the origin of the War Beast Index. Venerate Heavens sect, Grand Xia Empire. Qin Wentian mumbled in a low voice. The Venerate Heavens sect should be an extremely tyrannical power, while the Grand Xia Empire should be a gigantic existence. Not only that, Qin Wentian had followed Uncle Black since he was young, and had done research on constellations below the fifth heavenly layer. He naturally knew that the astral souls condensed by stellar martial cultivators depended on the constellations they condensed, and these constellations could be differentiated by their strength. These constellations directly determined the strength of the astral soul condensed by Wuxia. However, Uncle Black had never categorized these astral souls, nor did he intentionally research on the astral souls of the Warbeast constellations to rank them. Qin Wentian flipped open the Warbeast Index, and there were pictures and words on it. Dual-winged horned python astral soul, ranked 360 in the Warbeast Index. Its constellation is at the fourth heavenly layer, and the astral soul condensed from it is imbued with the ability to move spiritually. Its defense, attack, and defense are all tyrannical, and there's even a summoning-type stellar martial cultivator who summoned it. The dual-winged horned python astral soul is extremely tyrannical in terms of combat prowess. This was an astral soul ranked 360 in the Warbeast Index. Sky Flame Demonic Lion Astral Soul, ranked 360 in the Warbeast Index. Its constellation is at the fourth heavenly layer, and although Wuxia's agility is somewhat lacking, his attacks are extremely ferocious, and his defense is extremely strong as well. The Sky Flame Demonic Lion Astral Soul was ranked slightly higher than the Dual-Winged Horned Python Astral Soul. Its superiority in attack made up for the lack of agility. What a detailed summary. Qin Wentian slowly flipped through the Warbeast Index. He knew a lot about these astral souls, but in order to create such a ranking, not only did it require an extremely high level of intelligence and judgment, it also needed to be updated frequently. Because at any time, new constellations would be discovered, and powerful astral souls would be condensed. Hence, this Warbeast Index was constantly changing. Qin Wentian was somewhat puzzled. Why would there be a Warbeast Index on the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion? Chapter 153. Qin Wentian carefully flipped through the Warbeast Index, memorizing it in his heart. Gradually, he had a rough idea of the ranking of the Warbeasts in the index. After reading through the Warbeast Index, he picked up an extremely thin booklet beside it. On the cover of the booklet, there was also a line of words. The 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion is located behind the first door. That place is one of the 18 training grounds of the Grand Xia Empire, the Spirit Beast testing grounds. Those below the Yuanfu realm can enter, but if they die within, they will forever be deprived of the opportunity to train in the Spirit Beast testing grounds. Only by obtaining the spirit of the top 10 war beasts in the Warbeast Index would one be able to enter the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. This line of words was written with vigor, carefree and unrestrained. This was a note left behind by an expert. At the end of this note, there was also the name of the person who signed it, Azure Emperor. The founder of the Emperor Star Academy, Azure Emperor. Qin Wentian's heart trembled slightly. This note was left behind by the founder of the Emperor Star Academy. In that case, the Heavenly Star Pavilion must have been created by him as well. The first door should be the one on the left. Qin Wentian stared at the door with the word 7 engraved on it. He had never thought that the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion wasn't about any innate techniques or cultivation arts, but rather, a door. One of the 18 training grounds of the Grand Xia Empire, the Spirit Beast testing grounds. Qin Wentian walked towards the door, as he stretched out his hands, causing a brilliant light to flash. The door opened, revealing a praying mat in front of him. On top of the praying mat, there were many runic inscriptions that resembled mystical divine imprints. Qin Wentian walked in, and sat cross-legged on the praying mat. Instantly, the door closed, and the runic inscriptions on it shone brightly. Instantly, Qin Wentian's body was enveloped by a layer of light, and he felt as though his consciousness was about to be pulled out from his body. This feeling was extremely unbearable, but he still endured it. What exactly is this? Qin Wentian felt as though his consciousness had left his body, and he had no way to control it. This feeling of not being able to control his body was extremely unbearable. Bzzz, his body abruptly descended, and Qin Wentian finally felt his consciousness regaining control. However, when he looked at his surroundings, he couldn't help but be stunned. Is this the spirit beast testing grounds? Qin Wentian raised his hands and looked at them. They looked like real hands, but his body hadn't moved at all. Or was this place just like the Dream Sky Forest, a dreamland? But at this moment, he felt that it was much more real than a dream. It was as if he was really there. This was him, the original body of Qin Wentian. It was not a dream, nor was it an illusion. This was an open field, and there were many people around Qin Wentian. They instantly noticed Qin Wentian's presence, and many people looked at Qin Wentian with strange expressions. Why was there another person in the spirit beast testing grounds? Qin Wentian naturally noticed the existence of the surrounding crowd. These people were all very young, with an average age of 17 to 18 years old. The younger ones were only 15 to 16 years old, and the older ones were definitely not older than 20. Not only that, they were clearly divided into different factions, and the leader of each faction gave Qin Wentian an extraordinary feeling. This caused Qin Wentian to speculate that the people he came into contact with on the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion were people from outside of Chu. We agreed to gather here. It seems that the people from the various powers have all arrived. A young man spoke. This young man had a devilishly handsome countenance, and he was about 17 or 18 years old. His long hair was slightly curly, and his black eyes gleamed with a demonic light. It seems that they have all arrived. The other young man faintly replied, as an expression of interest flickered in his eyes when he looked at Qin Wentian. In the spirit beast testing grounds, those who had the qualifications to enter were all present. But in that case, where did these extra people come from? Such a scene was extremely interesting. Oi! A voice drifted over. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, only to see a beautiful young lady looking at him. This young lady was around the same age as him, and was clad in luxurious clothing. Her lips curled into a faint smile, giving off a faint sense of arrogance. Elegant, beautiful, this was the feeling she gave Qin Wentian. What's your name, and where did you come from? The young lady smiled, as she curiously stared at Qin Wentian. This place is the spirit beast testing grounds. Qin Wentian didn't reply, but asked a question instead. You actually know that this is the spirit beast testing grounds? The beautiful eyes of the young lady flashed with a strange light, as she continued smiling. From what I know, those who have the qualifications to enter the spirit beast testing grounds are all here. In that case, what about you? Where did you come from? Chu. Qin Wentian replied. He wanted to see if these people knew of the existence of Chu. Chu. The young lady had a puzzled expression on her face. Have you guys heard of it? She glanced at the others. Evidently, the Chu country was a foreign country to them. What about the 9 Mystical Palace? Qin Wentian asked again. The 9 Mystical Palace controlled the Chu country, and could be considered as a major power. You are from the 9 Mystical Palace? The young lady giggled as she looked at Qin Wentian. Don't lie to me, people from the 9 Mystical Palace don't have the qualifications to enter the spirit beast testing grounds. Qin Wentian felt his heart trembling when he heard the words of the young lady. Even a power like the 9 Mystical Palace didn't have the qualifications to enter the spirit beast testing grounds. Could it be that the powers these people belonged to were all existences even more tyrannical than the 9 Mystical Palace? Why are you talking so much nonsense? Kill him. At this moment, the demon-like young man who spoke earlier calmly spoke. The gaze he used to look at Qin Wentian was filled with indifference. Although he was somewhat curious and taken aback by Qin Wentian's appearance, since he couldn't get any information out of him, there was no need for him to waste any more time. As the sound of his voice faded, another young man walked out from behind him. This young man also exuded a demonic aura, and with a single step, he dashed towards Qin Wentian. Boom! A fist light blasted out, and Qin Wentian felt a surge of demonic qi. It was as though he could see a flood dragon rushing towards him, wanting to devour him whole. A cold light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. Lifting his palms, he abruptly blasted out, executing the third stance of the Thousand Hands imprint, the Forgotten imprint. The might of his opponent's attack was boundless. Die! His opponent stabbed out with his left finger, akin to a sharp sword, aiming straight for Qin Wentian's head. The speed of his attack was as fast as lightning. With a twist of his body, Qin Wentian's footwork was exquisite to the extreme. After evading his opponent's attack, his falling mountain palms ferociously blasted out with the force of Mount Tai. Roar! His opponent opened his mouth and howled in rage, akin to a flood dragon, causing Qin Wentian's eardrums to vibrate, causing him to feel extremely unbearable. An intense coldness flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes. His footwork shuddered as his entire person transformed into a shadow. As he stabbed out with his finger, his eyes opened and closed, giving his opponent an unblockable feeling. At the same time, his finger was akin to an ancient halberd, instantly piercing through the center of his opponent's brows, causing his opponent to stiffen in place. After which, he softly slumped to the ground. The duration of this battle was extremely short. Qin Wentian had killed a person, but the gazes of the spectators didn't change at all. They only had the mentality of watching a good show. Qin Wentian couldn't be sure if this death was real or fake. But there was no doubt that the corpse was present, and it was even more realistic compared to the dream sky forest. It didn't seem like a dream at all. Not only that, although he had killed his opponent very quickly, based on his opponent's strength, if he were to participate in the Junlin banquet, he would definitely be able to contend for the top 9 rankings. How could Qin Wentian not be startled when he casually killed his opponent? Interesting. The young lady smiled as she saw this scene, as she shifted her gaze onto the demonic young man. A cold light flickered in the eyes of the demonic young man. Abruptly, his silhouette vanished from his original location. Qin Wentian only felt a demonic light rushing towards him. His opponent stretched out his palms, and in that instant, Qin Wentian felt as though his body was being restricted by an intense demonic light, causing him to be unable to move. Break! The divine energy on Qin Wentian's body surged as the demonic light destroyed everything in its path. He took a step forward as an intense aura gushed forth. However, the demonic young man didn't seem to feel anything. His ghost-like silhouette continued nearing, as he gently punched out with his palm. Qin Wentian blasted out with the falling mountain palms, and the two palms collided. The demonic young man didn't even move a single inch, while Qin Wentian felt a strange energy emanating from his opponent's palm. It was as though a palm imprint had penetrated into his body, wanting to destroy his arterial pathways, and was even moving towards his heart. Ignoring my physical attacks and defense. Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. The divine energy within his body surged, as the mountain-type divine energy frenziedly defended against the strange energy, finally extinguishing it. However, Qin Wentian groaned in agony as he retreated repeatedly. Within his body, an unbearable feeling gushed forth. Qin Wentian stared at the demonic young man, only to see that the demonic young man's countenance was as per normal, with no signs of injury at all. How powerful! Qin Wentian silently exclaimed in his heart, as he glanced at the people in the surroundings. Were all their strength so terrifying? If the demonic young man really came from a power stronger than the 9 mystical palace, then it wouldn't be surprising if he was even stronger than Luo Qinxiu. Upon seeing that Qin Wentian merely groaned in agony, the demonic young man couldn't help but to furrow his brows, as a strange expression appeared on his face. A cultivator at the 8th level of arterial circulation was actually able to receive a palm strike from him without dying. How rare! His body once again drifted towards Qin Wentian, as he struck out with the same palm imprint. It was as light as a feather, as though there wasn't any force behind it. An ancient halberd suddenly appeared in Qin Wentian's hands. His footsteps shuddered as he executed the mountain splitter stance of the great dream halberd art, advancing forward with an indomitable will. The demonic young man abruptly halted his steps, as the ancient halberd swept out with the mountain splitter stance, causing his opponent to retreat as a faint killing intent gushed forth from him. Scram! The ancient halberd in Qin Wentian's hands flew out, as the demonic young man dodged to the side. The ancient halberd embedded itself into the ground, but Qin Wentian didn't retrieve it. Instead, he turned and departed. His silhouette was akin to a Garuda, disappearing with lightning speed. His purpose here was none other than the spirit of the war beast. 9 Heavenly Garuda Movement Technique. The young lady exclaimed in shock, as the demonic young man's countenance stiffened. Their gazes shifted over at the same time, as they stared at a group of young men standing at the edge of the crowd. "Are they from your Azure Emperor Palace?" the demonic young man coldly asked. "No, I don't recognize this person," someone replied. "This is too interesting. Other than the Azure Emperor Palace, is there anyone else who has cultivated the 9 Heavenly Garuda Movement Technique?" The crowd mused, feeling that this matter was getting more and more interesting. Chapter 154. Qin Wentian sped through this space. At this moment, he was in a mountainous region, and he couldn't see anyone. He really wanted to find someone to understand the situation here, but those people he met earlier seemed to be repelling him. Hence, he wouldn't be able to get any useful information from them. However, since the Azure Emperor allowed him to come here to retrieve the war beast spirit, there must be a deeper meaning behind it. Suddenly, Qin Wentian felt a surge of coldness. Turning his gaze over, he saw a gigantic python. Not only that, this python had a pair of wings on its back and a horn on its head, giving off an extremely terrifying feeling. Dual-winged horned python, ranked 360th in the War Beast Index, and also last. Qin Wentian's gaze froze. He saw a war beast, and it was actually one of the War Beast Index's existences. This spirit beast testing ground was truly a wondrous place. The body of the dual-winged horned python floated in the air, its eyes filled with malice as it stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian could clearly feel the hatred in its eyes. There were many demonic beasts in the 9 heavenly layers, and these demonic beasts could be found in their original forms. Nobody knew if these demonic beasts first appeared on the 9 heavenly layers, or if these demonic beasts first appeared on the 9 heavenly layers. Maybe, those experts at the peak of humanity would be able to unravel the mysteries within. The wings of the dual-winged horned python flickered as it floated in the air. Its long tongue flicked out, and its gigantic body dashed towards Qin Wentian with terrifying speed. At this moment, the dual-winged horned python was as terrifying as an enraged dragon. Qin Wentian's countenance turned heavy, as his aura erupted forth. The forgotten imprint of the 1,000-hand imprint blasted out, colliding with the horn of the dual-winged horned python. The palm imprint was actually shattered into pieces. The terrifying impact caused Qin Wentian to retreat. This dual-winged horned python was a demonic beast at the peak of the 6th grade, comparable to a cultivator at the peak of the arterial circulation realm. After Qin Wentian was forced back, the dual-winged horned python didn't stop its actions. Its gigantic tail swept out with terrifying speed. Qin Wentian stepped out with exquisite steps and used the 9th heaven rock skill. His speed was as fast as lightning, and he avoided the sweeping tail. Pooh! The double-winged horned python opened its bloody mouth and spat out several earth spears that pierced towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian seemed to have the shadow of the rock's wings behind him. He stepped into the void and leaped into the air, dodging the spear and heading straight for the double-winged horned python. Kill! Qin Wentian spat out a sharp sword, as beams of terrifying sword light slashed outwards. The double-winged horned python spat out another mouthful of air, and the earth spears appeared once more. Its gigantic body directly smashed towards Qin Wentian. With its terrifying speed, sharp feelers, and its gigantic body, if Qin Wentian were to be struck by its feelers, even if he didn't die, he would be heavily injured. His astral soul erupted forth. The astral heavenly hammer appeared in Qin Wentian's hands as he madly swung it about. The mountain-type divine energy within his stellar meridians erupted forth as the astral heavenly hammer smashed downwards. The double-winged horned python let out a terrifying roar, and the astral heavenly hammer in Qin Wentian's hands was shattered into pieces. However, this strike had also caused the double-winged horned python to tremble uncontrollably. Qin Wentian took another step forward, landing on its head. After which, the falling mountain palms frenziedly blasted towards the head of the double-winged horned python. Thunderous rumbling sounds reverberated through the air as the gigantic body of the double-winged horned python slammed into the ground. Its body gradually turned illusory. Is this the spirit of a war beast? Qin Wentian saw that the body of the double-winged horned python had actually turned illusory. A whirlpool appeared in his palms as he imprinted it onto the head of the double-winged horned python. The whirlpool devoured the illusory spirit of the double-winged horned python as a terrifying demonic chi gushed forth from Qin Wentian's body. At the same time, a demonic light flickered in his eyes. Is this a spirit of consciousness? After Qin Wentian devoured the spirit of the double-winged horned python, he could feel the spirit of a war beast attached to his body. This feeling was extremely intense. The double-winged horned python ranked at the bottom of the war beast index is actually so powerful. How strong would the war beasts ranked in the top 10 be? Qin Wentian was extremely shocked. Not only that, the double-winged horned python astral soul was condensed from the constellation of the fourth heavenly layer. If there was a summoning-type stellar martial cultivator, the strongest double-winged horned python they could summon would be at the Heavenly Dipper realm. And as for this double-winged horned python, its strength was suppressed to the pinnacle of the arterial circulation realm. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze, only to see a beautiful silhouette staring at him from afar. Her beautiful eyes flickered. It was none other than the female that had spoken to Qin Wentian earlier. Are you really someone from the Nine Mystical Palace? That beautiful silhouette slowly walked forward, clad in a sky-blue cloak. No. Qin Wentian replied, what about you? Who are you? How laughable. Since you know that this place is the spirit beast testing grounds, you actually don't know who we are. The young lady stared at Qin Wentian, her tone as cold as ice. The first batch of people who had the qualifications to enter the spirit beast testing grounds were the 36 Heavenly Dipper sovereigns. Only the sects and clans they belonged to could enter, and after that, the keys of many of them were either destroyed or snatched away by others. Now, only the 9 transcendent powers can enter. You actually don't know who we are. I'm not very familiar with the Grand Xia Empire. Qin Wentian replied. Seems like the Chu country was really too small. What level of power does the 9 mystical palace belong to in the Grand Xia Empire? Qin Wentian inquired. The Grand Xia Empire has boundless territories, with millions of cities. Among them, the 9 continents is the most powerful, and there are several transcendent powers in the 9 continents. These transcendent powers govern the boundless territories of the Grand Xia Empire. The young lady emotionlessly replied, the 9 mystical palace is one of the transcendent powers in the Qin continent, and they govern several small countries. Qin Wentian seriously listened, and combined with the map Mustang gave him, he had a rough understanding of the Grand Xia Empire. So it turned out that the Chu country was merely a subsidiary country of one of the transcendent powers in the Qin continent. Indeed, in the perspective of the entire continent, the Chu country was simply too small. The power she belongs to, the Green Cloud Pavilion, is also a transcendent power in the Qin continent. Not only that, when compared to the 9 mystical palace, it can only be stronger, not weaker. A voice drifted over from afar. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, only to see a group of silhouettes walking over. "Yu Qingfeng, are you guys here to reunite?" The young lady smiled as she stared at the newcomers. These people were none other than members of the Azure Emperor Palace. "Can't I?" Yu Qingfeng laughed, before shifting his gaze onto Qin Wentian. "I know where you came from." Qin Wentian stared at Yu Qingfeng, as a strange light flickered in his eyes, waiting for Yu Qingfeng to continue. "A place named the Emperor Star Academy." Yu Qingfeng spoke, causing Qin Wentian's eyes to flicker with a strange light. "And you are?" "I'm Yu Qingfeng, a member of the Azure Emperor Palace." "You probably don't know who the Azure Emperor is, right?" The Azure Emperor's original name is the Azure Emperor, a character from thousands of years ago. He single-handedly created the glory of the Azure Emperor Palace, and was ranked first among the 36 Heavenly Dippers. Yu Qingfeng spoke, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. The Azure Emperor, ranked first among the 36 Heavenly Dippers. The Azure Emperor was also the founder of the Emperor Star Academy. "I'm none other than Qin Wentian from the Emperor Star Academy." Being able to meet someone from the Azure faction here, Qin Wentian naturally felt a sense of closeness. One could say that the Azure Emperor Palace and the Emperor Star Academy shared the same roots and origins. "Brother Qin, the spirit beast testing grounds is extremely dangerous. Why don't we travel together? At least we can take care of each other. What do you think?" Yu Qingfeng straightforwardly spoke. Qin Wentian nodded his head. He had wanted to find someone to ask about the spirit beast testing grounds and what was going on. "Qian Mingyu, do you want to come along?" Yu Qingfeng stared at the young girl as he asked. "No thanks." The young girl indifferently replied, before turning and departing the area. "You obtained a beast spirit earlier?" Yu Qingfeng stared at Qin Wentian. "Yes. What's the use of a beast spirit?" Qin Wentian curiously asked. "In the past, there was a supreme existence that sealed the 360 war beasts in the war beast testing grounds. The beast spirits here aren't the true bodies of the war beasts, but rather, the consciousness of the war beasts. It's rumored that these war beasts were summoned from the 9 heavenly layers, and by seizing those beast spirits, you would be able to easily sense the location of the astral souls of the astral beasts in the 9 heavenly layers." Yu Qingfeng explained to Qin Wentian, "You should understand that after breaking through from the arterial circulation realm to the Yuanfu realm, one would be able to condense a third astral soul. Generally speaking, one would only be able to condense an astral soul from the 3rd heavenly layer. For those with exceptional talent, they would be able to condense an astral soul from the 4th heavenly layer. However, it's not so easy to find and condense an astral soul from the war beast testing grounds. Similar to the effects of Yuan meteor stones." Qin Wentian seemed to have understood. The effects are many times stronger compared to Yuan meteor stones. For those who could only condense an astral soul from the 3rd heavenly layer, their consciousness would only be able to stay in the 4th heavenly layer for a short period of time. With the existence of the beast spirits, there's a high possibility that they would be able to condense an extremely powerful astral soul from the 3rd heavenly layer. Yu Qingfeng continued to explain. To stellar martial cultivators, the temptation of a beast spirit was extremely great. Understood. Qin Wentian nodded his head. "Brother Qin, you should have seen how powerful the war beasts are earlier. The true bodies of these war beasts hate us to the extreme, and they want to devour us whole. Hence, if we were to encounter the top-ranked war beasts, we would be in grave danger. As for the top 10 war beasts, they are simply invincible existences." Yu Qingfeng continued, "Hence, we hope that we can gather our strength to deal with the war beasts together." "I understand." Qin Wentian nodded his head in agreement. The group of them continued their journey, as they continued their training. And at this moment, in the Chu country, there were many shocking news being circulated. Qin Wu of the Qin clan had actually escaped from the Black Stronghold. The guards of the Black Stronghold had suffered heavy casualties, causing the entire royal capital to tremble. The Black Stronghold was rumored to be a secret prison, and the security was extremely tight. However, Qin Wu had actually managed to escape unscathed, causing people to feel that there was an undercurrent brewing in the dark. At the same time, the two famous martial academies of Chu, the Royal Academy and the Godly General Martial Palace, announced their merger. In this way, there were signs that they were going to contend against the Emperor Star Academy. And in reality, they were indeed going to contend against the Emperor Star Academy. Chapter 155. On the day of the merger between the Godly General Martial Palace and the Royal Academy, there was news that the Crown Prince of Snowcloud was going to marry the Princess of Chu. The Princess of Chu had a high possibility of becoming the Crown Princess of Snowcloud. However, Xiao Lok didn't give up just like that. At the same time, he sent people to the Emperor Star Academy, saying that Qin Yao was a candidate for the Crown Princess of Snowcloud, and they had to bring her back. Naturally, the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't allow it. Hence, the royal clan of Chu personally came to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. Such a situation caused the sharp-witted crowd to smell the scent of danger. The royal clan of Chu wanted to make a move against the Emperor Star Academy. And this wasn't the biggest change. On the second day after Qin Wu was rescued, news circulated from the battlefield. The royal clan launched a ferocious attack, and at the same time, experts attempted to assassinate Qin He and Qin Yi. As for the ending, Qin He lost an arm, and both of his arms were destroyed. If it weren't for the help of a mysterious expert, he would have already died in battle. Not only that, there were also rumors circulating that the various armies stationed at the borders of Chu were preparing to make a move, and that they had already set off for the royal capital. Their slogan was, "The Chu Emperor is tyrannical, killing the loyal, annihilating the good generals. When the rabbits die, the dogs roar." The news of Qin Wu being sentenced to death by the emperor began to spread throughout the Chu country, causing a huge commotion in the hearts of the people. In addition to what the royal clan had done to the Qin residents in the Sky Harmony City, it was as though the royal clan was tyrannical, and the country had to change owners. The only news that was beneficial to the royal clan was that the Snowcloud country had sent out their troops to guard the borders of Chu, preventing any invasions. At the same time, it was as though they were telling the other countries that the Snowcloud country was now an ally of Chu. The major characters in the royal capital could truly smell the scent of a storm. They didn't expect that an unexpected event like the Junlin banquet would cause such a terrifying chain reaction. With regards to the storm outside, Qin Wentian, who was in the spirit beast testing grounds, had no idea. After staying here for a day, he gradually familiarized himself with the testing grounds. There were many war beast spirits here, and all of them were extremely powerful. He also understood that the trial grounds were not a real world. He was the same as the demonic beasts. He was a dream consciousness, and a wisp of his consciousness had entered the trial grounds with his dream. Not only could he devour beast spirits, but the battle beasts could also devour his consciousness. At this moment, he joined hands with Yu Qingfeng and the others to kill another beast. The ranking of this war beast wasn't weak. It was ranked 241st in the War Beast Index, the Flower Rock Cheetah. If one was able to condense an astral soul from it, one's entire body would be able to transform into a solid rock, increasing one's defense to a terrifying level. Not only that, one's speed and attack power would also be extremely strong. Brother Qin, I still have 3 people on my side. After they have devoured the beast spirits, it will be your turn next. After all, you have already obtained your own beast spirit. Yu Qingfeng said to Qin Wentian. This was already the 5th beast they had killed. No need, I wish to travel alone. Qin Wentian replied. After traveling together for a day, although Yu Qingfeng was still extremely courteous to him, he could faintly sense that although these people from the Azure Emperor Palace were from the same faction as him, they still looked down on him. Subconsciously, there would be hints of arrogance in their eyes. After all, although they were from the same faction, their statuses were completely different. They came from the Azure Emperor Palace, while he came from a small country. This point could be seen from the way they divided the war beast spirits. However, Qin Wentian didn't say anything. He had no way to change the views of others. At most, he would travel alone. Brother Qin, you should understand that the spirit beast testing grounds is extremely dangerous. Yu Qinfeng persuaded. I will be careful. Qin Wentian casually replied. Since that's the case, I won't obstruct Brother Qin any longer. Just don't waste your life because of a moment of anger. Cooperation is originally for the sake of benefits, it's just a matter of priority. Yu Qinfeng added. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. The words of Yu Qinfeng clearly had a hidden meaning. Without saying anything more, Qin Wentian turned and departed. How reckless. A student from the Emperor Star Academy, we didn't even know that we saved him, yet he still wants to sit on the same level as the Azure Emperor Palace. I wonder why the Azure Emperor established such an academy back then. A person beside Yu Qinfeng impolitely commented. He didn't suppress his voice, allowing Qin Wentian to hear him clearly. Increasing his speed, Qin Wentian once again traveled alone. Although he knew that if he separated from those from the Azure Emperor Palace, the dangers would be much greater, but he wasn't willing to become a lower existence. Qin Wentian arrived at a vast grassland, with a mountain range in front of him. But at this moment, he could clearly sense danger approaching. In front of him, a demonic beast slowly walked out from the mountain range. It was a great rock, its entire body radiating a resplendent silvery light, and its eyes were as sharp as ice. Silvery Rock, ranked number 98 in the War Beast Index. Qin Wentian's eyes narrowed. This was the first time he had encountered a war beast that was ranked within the top 100. Not only that, he could feel a sense of danger from behind him. Turning back, he saw a gigantic demonic bear that emanated a terrifying demonic chi. The body of this demonic bear seemed to be clad in a suit of silver armor. Even its claws were silver in color. Silver-armored Bear King, ranked number 97 in the War Beast Index. Qin Wentian's gaze froze. These two war beasts were ranked near the top, and were both incomparably tyrannical. To think that he would actually be caught in a pincer attack. How unlucky. Bzzz, his body was like a great rock, Qin Wentian madly fled to the side. The silvery rock flapped its silvery wings, transforming into a silvery bolt of lightning. Its speed was even faster than Qin Wentian's, while the hooves of the silver-armored Bear King shook the earth, emitting terrifying rumbling sounds. Its speed wasn't any slower than Qin Wentian's. A demonic beast ranked in the top 100 of the War Beast Index was definitely a terrifying existence. The silvery rock had already hovered in the air above Qin Wentian. An ancient halberd appeared in his hands. Although this wasn't the real world, there wasn't much difference between it and the real world. In the real world, the ancient halberd had always been hidden in his interspatial ring. Puchi. The silvery rock spat out a silvery sword light, lunging towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian abruptly halted his steps. He lifted his palms and blasted out a palm imprint, colliding with the silvery sword light spat out by the silvery rock. A raging wind gusted as the silvery rock's sharp claws directly smashed downwards, aiming for Qin Wentian's head at lightning speed. Qin Wentian's ancient halberd slammed out with the mountain splitter stance, colliding with the silvery claws of the silvery rock. The sound of metal clashing rang out. How powerful! Qin Wentian saw the silvery rock being forced back, and his arm also felt numb. At the same time, the earth trembled, and the gigantic body of the silver-armored Bear King leaped up, slashing out with its razor-sharp claws. Falling mountain palms. Qin Wentian slammed out with his left palm as his divine energy frenziedly erupted. However, his body was directly flung through the air as he slammed heavily onto the ground. His arm felt as though it was on the verge of shattering. The combat prowess of a war beast ranked within the top 100 in the War Beast Index was simply too tyrannical. The fallen Qin Wentian hadn't escaped from danger yet. The silvery rock swooped downwards, its silvery sword piercing out in a frenzy. Its cold eyes seemed capable of killing. If I die, I won't have such a chance anymore. Qin Wentian silently mused. As long as he died, he would lose the qualifications to enter the refinement grounds. Most probably, Luo Qianya had died in here as well. Hence, he hoped that his son, Luo Qianxiu, would be able to enter here. The berserk beast halberd art, Xuanwu stance, was impenetrable to the wind and rain. Qin Wentian's blood seemed to be boiling as his body grew larger. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he stabbed out with the ancient halberd in his hands. The silvery rock collided with the Bear King once again, but this time around, it was forced back into the air. Cracks could be seen on its silvery claws as though they had been shattered. However, Qin Wentian's situation was even worse. The silver-armored Bear King once again unleashed another attack. Scram! The forgotten imprint was pushed to its limits, and was infused with the power of Qin Wentian's bloodline. With a thunderous boom, the gigantic body of the silver-armored Bear King was forcibly blocked. However, Qin Wentian was once again sent flying through the air. Top 10. Azure Emperor, you are truly ruthless. If he wanted to step into the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, he had to plunder the spirit beasts ranked within the top 10 in the War Beast Index. He didn't even dare to imagine how ferocious the top 10 beast spirits were. Not only that, the constellations they represented were all from the 5th heavenly layer. If he could condense an astral soul from them, how terrifying would that be? In the future, when he broke through to the Heavenly Dipper realm, he would be able to summon his Heavenly Dipper war beast. The two war beasts once again launched their attacks towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian wiped the traces of blood from the corner of his mouth as his silhouette flickered. He executed the Garuda movement technique to its limits, and at the same time, his ancient halberd and palm imprints erupted forth in a frenzy. But very quickly, he was riddled with injuries. Under the encirclement of the two war beasts, it was only a matter of time before he died. At this moment, a raging wind gusted by as a silhouette clad in blue appeared. A sharp sword appeared in her hands as she directly slashed towards the silver-armored rock. The sword chi collided with the claws of the silver-armored rock, but the sword chi wasn't extinguished. Instead, the sword intent of the silver-armored Bear King was reborn. The pressure on Qin Wentian instantly lessened as he focused on dealing with the silver-armored Bear King. Without the assistance of the silver-armored rock, although the attacks of the silver-armored Bear King were ferocious, its agility was lacking. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he slashed out with his halberd, causing the silver-armored Bear King to suffer a series of setbacks. The battle here continued on for quite some time. Two groups of silhouettes appeared, but they didn't rush forward to help. Instead, they surrounded the silver-armored Bear King, Qin Wentian, and Qian Mengyu within a certain range. They were the group that wanted to deal with Qin Wentian the first time, as well as Yu Qinfeng and those from the Azure Emperor Palace. When the silver-armored rock saw this, it soared into the skies. It had the ability to soar through the air, and these people wouldn't be able to catch up to it. However, the silver-armored Bear King continued its frenzied attacks. Qian Mengyu stared at Qin Wentian as she spoke, "Give it up. Even if you defeat it, don't even think about obtaining the beast spirit." Qin Wentian naturally saw the group of people glaring at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. His eyes flickered as he retreated. He was truly unwilling to give up at this point in time. Puchi. Abruptly, Qin Wentian's ancient halberd pierced into the eye of the silver-armored Bear King, causing it to howl in rage. However, Qin Wentian's ancient halberd was still in its eye, and very swiftly, the silver-armored Bear King's silhouette gradually turned illusory. With a flick of his palm, Qin Wentian's inscriptions appeared, transforming into a vortex that swallowed the beast spirit. The demonic aura he exuded grew stronger and stronger, as his long hair fluttered in the wind. Truly a fellow that doesn't know the immensity of death. Those from the Azure Emperor Palace had expressions of ridicule on their faces when they saw that Qin Wentian still dared to swallow the beast spirit. So what if he swallowed it? Everyone here was a consciousness body. As long as they swallowed Qin Wentian's consciousness, the beast spirit in his body would be swallowed as well. Chapter 156. Qin Wentian's ink-black hair fluttered in the wind. He turned his gaze onto Qian Mengyu as he asked, "What you used earlier, was it the 9 swords of life?" Qian Mengyu had a strange expression on her face as she stared at Qin Wentian. "How did you know?" Qin Wentian said that he came from a small country, so how did he know about the 9 swords of life from her green cloud pavilion? "I've seen people using the 9 swords of life before," Qin Wentian replied. This set of sword art was one of the 4 divine inscription diagrams that belonged to Gong Yanghong. Qin Wentian and Gong Yanghong had speculated that this sword art was cultivated by the woman Gong Yanghong loved. However, Qin Wentian didn't know the exact details. "Many thanks for your help earlier." Qin Wentian thanked Qian Mengyu. "You better think about what to do first." Qian Mengyu stepped away. Although Qin Wentian was able to recognize the 9 swords of life, she wouldn't go so far as to help Qin Wentian. It was rare for her to enter the spirit beast testing grounds, and she naturally didn't want to die in there. Qin Wentian cast a glance at the situation around him. Indeed, it was going to be extremely difficult. Bzzz, abruptly, Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as the illusory wings of a Garuda flickered in and out of existence. His entire person soared into the air as he retreated in the direction of one of the gaps. Only to see 2 figures dashing out, blocking his path of retreat. Qin Wentian's speed didn't slow down in the slightest. Executing the mountain splitter, he lunged towards one of them. Puchi. A light sound rang out as the silhouette of that person turned illusory. The ancient halberd directly pierced through his skull, while at the same time, Qin Wentian blasted out a palm imprint to his left. Boom! A powerful force was transmitted into his palm. Qin Wentian borrowed the force of the impact to soar into the air, leaping out like a Garuda. When he landed, he was already outside of the encirclement's perimeter. What an exquisite 9 heavenly Garuda movement technique, it's definitely at the perfect level of the arterial circulation manual. The countenances of the experts from the Azure Emperor Palace changed when they saw this scene. After which, they too stepped out, akin to Garuda rocks. As for the devilishly handsome young man and the rest, they were all from the Sky Demon sect. At this moment, a pair of demonic beast wings appeared on their bodies. Every step they took caused the sound of the wind to howl. Their speed was actually extremely fast. What guts! The people from the Sky Demon sect are not to be trifled with. Upon seeing this, Qian Mengyu also stepped out and chased after Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was very clear that the people here weren't arterial circulation realm cultivators from Chu. Against ordinary cultivators at the peak of arterial circulation in Chu, he could easily kill them. But for the people in the spirit beast testing grounds, any one of them could be considered as the cream of the crop in Chu. This was especially so for that demonic young man. After fighting against him once, Qin Wentian could already sense that the strength of his opponent was no small matter. He wasn't so blindly confident that he would be able to deal with the encirclement of his opponents with his cultivation base at the 8th level of arterial circulation. Hence, he could only execute the Garuda movement technique to flee. After reaching the grand completion of the arterial circulation manual of the 9 heavenly Garuda movement technique, his speed wouldn't lose out to anyone else. The number of people who could chase after Qin Wentian grew fewer and fewer. The demonic young man from the Sky Demon sect, Yu Qingfeng from the Azure Emperor Palace, and Qian Mengyu from the Green Cloud Pavilion were three of them. Along the way, they met another group of experts. When they saw this scene, it was as though they had sensed something as well, as they chased after Qin Wentian. In front of them, there was a river. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he soared into the air, akin to a great rock soaring through the air, directly landing on the opposite side of the river. The others all chased after him, each displaying their own innate techniques as they crossed the river. Very quickly, Qin Wentian dashed into a patch of forest, causing the countenances of the pursuers to turn unsightly. They had so many experts, yet they had no way to catch up to Qin Wentian. With so much time, Qin Wentian should be able to hunt and kill quite a few war beasts. What they didn't know was that at this moment, Qin Wentian's heart was filled with rage. He had merely devoured a single beast spirit. There were many beast spirits in this training ground, and there were even some that were ranked higher than the ones he had devoured, yet these pursuers were so overbearing. At the end of the forest, there was a stone mountain with a waterfall cascading down from it. On the left and right side of the mountain, there were lakes. This was a place where there was no path of retreat. Qin Wentian halted his steps as he heard the whistling sound of wind behind him. The demonic young man from the Sky Demon sect was the first to catch up to him, stopping not too far away from him. The shadow of a great rock appeared on Yao Xing's back. His gaze was demonic and cold as he took a step forward, as a gentle palm strike blasted out once again. Bzzz, Qin Wentian's ancient halberd pierced out with lightning speed. Yao Xing's palms trembled as demonic qi erupted forth. His palms transformed into a gigantic bear's paw as they slammed out, colliding with the ancient halberd. His movements were incomparably gentle, and at the instant he struck out, he dashed towards Qin Wentian, brushing past the ancient halberd as he dashed towards Qin Wentian. A demonic glow radiated forth, enveloping Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian didn't retreat. The aura of his sovereign's descent bloodline erupted forth as he slammed out with his palms, akin to a true mountain peak crashing down. Pine! A terrifying hurricane swept through the air as the two of them retreated at the same time. Qin Wentian's arterial pathways trembled as his heart pounded madly. The innate techniques of his opponent were both powerful and bizarre. Yao Xing also took a step back as a strange look flashed in his eyes. After which, the coldness in his eyes grew even stronger. A towering demonic qi erupted forth as scales appeared on his arms. His eyes flickered with a demonic light as the wings on his back glowed even brighter. At this moment, he was akin to a terrifying demonic being. A raging wind gusted by as Yao Xing lunged towards Qin Wentian once again. Fallen Star Stance. The ancient halberd in Qin Wentian's hands erupted forth with a terrifying might, as a terrifying vortex appeared in front of him. Yao Xing's palms slammed out as a terrifying boom reverberated through the air. His silhouette flickered as he evaded the strongest attack of the Fallen Star Stance. His entire person transformed into a series of afterimages. Die! Yao Xing's arms elongated as his palms transformed into sharp claws, piercing straight towards Qin Wentian's head. The ancient halberd in Qin Wentian's hands trembled as he spat out a beam of sword light. With a howl of rage, his left palm blasted out with the falling mountain palms. Their attacks collided in a frenzy as Qin Wentian's body was violently forced backwards. Even after activating the power of his bloodline, he was still forced to retreat. Staring at the silhouette in front of him, Qin Wentian could feel that Yao Xing's bloodline was also boiling. That was the bloodline of a beast. Those behind him all followed behind, and upon seeing that Yao Xing had yet to kill Qin Wentian, they all had strange expressions on their faces. This young man who had stepped into the spirit beast testing grounds out of the blue, had a strength that was truly shocking. Boom! At this moment, the earth trembled as the hearts of the crowd shuddered. They stared in front of them, feeling as though the mountain was moving. Rumbling sounds rang out as the gigantic boulders on the mountain fell down like a waterfall. The rumbling sounds grew increasingly terrifying as a terrifying demonic chi permeated the air. Roar! A thunderous roar rang out as the earth split apart. The lake water on both sides of the waterfall churned violently as a terrifying demonic beast soared up into the skies, creating a gigantic wave. This demonic beast had the body of a python coiled around the waterfall. It was unknown how long it was, but its body was covered in scales, with sharp spikes protruding out of it. Its arms were thick and muscular, and it had 5 claws on its palms that were curved like hooks, cold and sharp. At this moment, the long whiskers of this demonic beast stood on end as it roared in rage. Its sharp fangs caused fear to rise in the hearts of the onlookers, and it was many times more terrifying than a python. The blue-scaled flood dragon, ranked number 9 in the War Beast Index. The hearts of the crowd trembled as they stared at this terrifying demonic beast. The reason they came to the spirit beast testing grounds was because they wanted to obtain the spirit of the top 10 ranked beasts. However, the combat prowess of the top 10 demonic beasts were all terrifying. They were invincible existences at the arterial circulation realm. There are so many powerful demonic beasts. If I devour its spirit, in addition to my powerful perception, would I be able to sense the location of the blue-scaled flood dragon astral soul in the 5th heavenly layer? Qin Wentian's heart trembled. If his conjecture was correct, then he had already decided which astral soul he should choose for his 3rd astral soul. There were many demonic beasts in the War Beast Index, and the beast spirits of these demonic beasts could allow one to sense the existence of a demonic beast astral soul. However, no matter what kind of astral soul it was, how could it be compared to a summoning-type astral soul? However, Qin Wentian understood that summoning-type stellar martial cultivators were exceedingly rare. This was because the difficulty of becoming one was exceedingly high. If one didn't have enough talent, the summoning-type astral soul would be useless. To many people, summoning-type astral souls were trash astral souls. However, there were some genius summoners in the continent who possessed the ability to summon astral souls. At this moment, Qin Wentian had the thought of becoming a summoning-type stellar martial cultivator. Not only that, this thought was extremely strong. In the future, when he summoned his astral souls, all sorts of demonic beasts would descend from the heavens, roaring and howling as they protected him. How beautiful would that be? Naturally, this thought remained in his heart. At this moment, what he needed to do was to face the situation in front of him. The flood dragon ranked number 9 in the War Beast Index wasn't something that the silvery rock ranked number 90 could compare to. The flood dragon raised its head arrogantly, staring down at the human in front of it. Its pair of demonic sharp eyes flickered with an intense killing intent. Bzzz. Abruptly, the body of the blue-scaled flood dragon moved. Its gigantic body instantly appeared in front of Qin Wentian as it slammed out with its thick arms. Its terrifyingly sharp claws were capable of ripping apart mountains, yet at this moment, it was aiming for Qin Wentian's body of flesh and blood. Qin Wentian's bloodline power surged frenziedly as he executed the fallen star stance. The ancient halberd howled in rage as it slashed towards the sharp claws of the flood dragon. Pine! Qin Wentian's body was directly flung through the air as his blood and qi churned wildly. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood as the ancient halberd in his hands trembled uncontrollably. How powerful! Qin Wentian's heart trembled. Clearly, the flood dragon was also a 6th-level demonic beast, but how could it be so powerful? Was this the tyrannical strength of the top 10 ranked war beasts in the War Beast Index? It seemed like the difficulty of ascending to the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion wasn't so high. The Azure Emperor had stated that if one wanted to ascend to the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, they had to plunder the spirit of the top 10 ranked demonic beasts. This test was indeed many times more difficult compared to obtaining the champion of the Junlin Banquet. He was able to obtain the champion of the Junlin Banquet, but even if he was stronger, it would still be extremely difficult for him to slay the top 10 ranked war beasts. From this, one could see the difficulty of the two tests. In that case, what did the Azure Emperor leave behind in the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion? Chapter 157. Yao Xing didn't intend to continue fighting against Qin Wentian. What he was facing now was a war beast ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. If he could kill it, he would be able to condense an astral soul from the 5th heavenly layer and condense one of the top 10 astral souls in the War Beast Index. An intense ambition brewed in Yao Xing's heart. On the contrary, the fear he felt was much fainter. After all, in the spirit beast testing grounds, even if he died, only his consciousness would be destroyed and he wouldn't be able to enter again. To the people of Sky Demon Palace, even if their lives were in danger, they would still choose to take the risk for the top 10 war beasts in the war beast chart. How about we work together this time? Yao Xing spoke to Yu Qingfeng, Qian Mengyu, and the rest. The eyes of the crowd flickered. It wasn't impossible for them to work together, but even if they managed to kill the Flood Dragon, who would be the one to obtain the final reward? If one of them managed to obtain the spirit of the Flood Dragon, they would definitely be hunted down by the others. Not long ago, Qin Wentian only managed to obtain the spirit of a war beast ranked in the 90th plus, yet he was already being hunted down. Yi Yu, what do you think? Yu Qingfeng asked a young man beside him. This young man was clad in a robe with constellations inscribed on it, exuding a sense of transcendence. This young man was from the Venerate Heavens sect. The rankings of the 36 heavenly dippers were determined by the Venerate Heavens sect. In the Grand Xia Empire, the rankings of the Venerate Heavens sect were the most authoritative. Their rankings of Wuxia had influenced many countries in the Grand Xia Empire, even spreading to the Chu country. Hence, there was a ranking of the 10 prodigies of the royal capital. Let's work together. Yi Yu nodded, her eyes gleaming with sharpness as she stared at the Flood Dragon. The group of people spread out, releasing their astral souls as they surrounded the Flood Dragon. The blue-scaled Flood Dragon King roared in rage as it rushed towards Yao Xing. The beast blood in Yao Xing's body seemed to be boiling as demonic chi towered up into the skies. The wings of the great rock flickered as his body transformed into a beam of light that shot towards the blue-scaled Flood Dragon King. Puchi. The blue-scaled Flood Dragon King's sharp claws did not hit Yao Xing. Yao Xing's body flashed in the air, and he found a tricky angle to rush to the front of the Flood Dragon King's head. His agility shocked even Qin Wentian. However, the blue-scaled Flood Dragon's reaction was also extremely fast. It opened its giant mouth and bit forward, wanting to swallow the opponent in one gulp. Buzz! A resplendent sword light blossomed as Qian Mengyu soared into the air. Numerous sharp swords containing an inextinguishable aura frenziedly pierced into the gigantic mouth of the Flood Dragon King. This scene caused the blue-scaled Flood Dragon to close its mouth. At the same time, Yao Xing's palm transformed into the exploding bear paw and slammed down on the head of the blue-scaled Flood Dragon. Originally, Yao Xing and Qian Mengyu had nothing to do with each other, but their teamwork was extremely exquisite. Their timing was incomparably precise. The head of the blue-scaled Flood Dragon reared backwards. Yao Xing's attack power was absolutely terrifying, and there was also the effect of vibrations. For a moment, the Flood Dragon King felt a little dizzy. It lifted its gigantic tail and lashed out, the spikes on its body resembling sharp swords. Yu Qingfeng also dashed out. His movement technique was also the Garuda movement technique from the 9 heavenly realms, allowing him to evade the attacks of the gigantic body as he dashed towards the head of the blue-scaled Flood Dragon. Yi Yu did the same as well. When they attacked, it was as though they had reached some sort of tacit understanding. All of them aimed their attacks at the head of the blue-scaled Flood Dragon. If the first attack didn't kill it, they would do it a second time. If the second attack didn't kill it, they would do it 8 times, 10 times. All of them are elites. If it was just one of them, they definitely wouldn't be a match for the blue-scaled Flood Dragon. But when they join forces, the power they can unleash isn't as simple as adding each other's strength together. When they attack together, the strength of the blue-scaled flood dragon has no way to unleash its full power. Qin Wentian watched on as this fascinating battle unfolded. The green-scaled flood dragon roared in madness as its gigantic body abruptly spun in the air. With a single gulp, it lunged towards Qian Mengyu, allowing the others to attack its body. Die! Qian Mengyu's palms trembled as her astral soul erupted with resplendent sword light. Numerous sharp swords transformed into beams of light as they frenziedly slashed out. The head of the blue-scaled flood dragon slammed forwards, but the sharp swords only managed to leave a few traces of blood on its forehead, unable to injure it at all. Qian Mengyu's body spun in the air, wanting to retreat. But at this moment, the blue-scaled flood dragon had already gone berserk, madly chasing after her, ignoring the frenzied attacks of the others. It had to kill one of them first. This human who loved to stab its mouth with swords was simply too annoying. Qian Mengyu's countenance grew unsightly as she saw the crazed pursuit of her opponent. Although her silhouette was as fast as the wind, how could it be compared to the speed of her opponent's attacks? Very soon, she wouldn't be able to evade the attacks of the blue-scaled flood dragon. Qin Wentian stood not far away from Qian Mengyu. His countenance was incomparably cold as he witnessed this scene. Over here. Qin Wentian called out to Qian Mengyu. Qian Mengyu's lithe figure sprinted in the direction of Qin Wentian, while the body of the blue-scaled flood dragon shuddered unceasingly. Yet, it refused to give up its pursuit. Just as it was about to catch up to her, it opened its ferocious maw and ferociously bit out, wanting to tear Qian Mengyu apart with a single bite. Bzzz. A raging wind gusted by as Qin Wentian executed the Garuda movement technique to the extreme. His body actually dashed into the mouth of the blue-scaled flood dragon. A ruthless glint flashed in the eyes of the blue-scaled flood dragon as it abruptly snapped its jaws shut. Its sharp fangs gleamed with a cold light, as though it could directly crush Qin Wentian into pieces. Woo! A howl of agony rang out, as Qin Wentian's silhouette was like the wind as he retreated from the jaws of the blue-scaled flood dragon. The tip of the ancient halberd pierced right through the jaws of the flood dragon as it tried to close its jaws. The tip of the ancient halberd pierced right through the jaws of the flood dragon. Success! Qin Wentian watched as the tail of the blue-scaled flood dragon violently lashed out, causing it to howl in agony. His silhouette was like a phantom as he dashed towards the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. His falling mountain palms slammed downwards, and the terrifying force of the impact caused the ancient halberd to penetrate even deeper into the jaws of the blue-scaled flood dragon. Do it! The others all rushed over, frenziedly attacking the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. The tip of the ancient halberd pierced out from the top of the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon, while the tail of the blue-scaled flood dragon grew weaker and weaker. This fellow is really lucky. The hearts of the spectators mused. Qin Wentian's luck was truly not bad. He actually managed to insert the ancient halberd into the jaws of the blue-scaled flood dragon, causing the ancient halberd to be stuck there, thus giving them an opportunity to take advantage of. The body of the blue-scaled flood dragon gradually turned illusory as it transformed into a beast spirit. Qin Wentian retrieved the ancient halberd, and at the same time, his palms trembled as he prepared to devour the beast spirit. However, the others also did the same. The top 10 ranked beast spirits in the War Beast Index, everyone wanted to fight for them. Roar! The beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon let out a terrifying roar as it lunged towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian only felt his consciousness trembling violently as his body turned illusory. Only after retreating with explosive speed did his body return to its original state. Qin Wentian's countenance was extremely unsightly to behold. The consciousness of the blue-scaled flood dragon had already transformed into a beast spirit, yet it was still so tenacious, directly launching an attack on his consciousness. After all, although his body was made of flesh and blood, it was still a body of consciousness. If his consciousness wasn't as strong as his opponent's, he would similarly be destroyed. The roar shook the heavens and earth. Qian Mengyu, Yao Sheng and the rest were also forced to retreat. Their countenances were extremely unsightly to behold, they had never met such a tough beast spirit before. Towering amounts of beast blood gushed forth from Yao Sheng's body, engulfing the beast spirit. Bzzz, the beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon rushed out, its cold eyes staring down at the crowd. Even if it was only a body of consciousness, there was no way it could devour it. The consciousness of the blue-scaled flood dragon was simply too tyrannical. Its eyes coldly stared at Qin Wentian. It was precisely this person who had destroyed its body. Roar! With a howl of rage, the consciousness of the beast spirit actually dashed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian only felt his consciousness being shaken. A vortex appeared in his palm, and at the instant the beast spirit arrived in front of him, the vortex trembled violently, wanting to swallow it whole. However, that pair of ice-cold eyes stared fixedly at him, shaking his will, causing Qin Wentian's body to turn illusory. Yao Sheng and the rest didn't step forward to help Qin Wentian when they saw this scene. Qian Mengyu's eyes flashed with anxiety, but she had no idea how to deal with this tyrannical beast spirit. Vile beast, you still dare to be so arrogant with just a strand of your consciousness remaining? Qin Wentian's eyes were ice-cold as he stared at the beast spirit. Releasing his great dream astral soul, he abruptly brought the beast spirit into a dreamscape. In the dreamscape, Qin Wentian sat high up in the sky, like an emperor looking down at the tyrannical beast spirit. Vile beast, submit to me! Qin Wentian roared in rage. His voice was like a bolt of lightning from the clear skies, blasting down onto the body of the beast spirit, causing it to tremble violently. It was only a consciousness of a beast spirit, it had no way to resist the corrosion of Qin Wentian's dreamscape. Dreamforce was a battle of wills, making the other party believe that it was real. How could a mere strand of consciousness be able to resist against it? In the external world, the silhouettes of the beast spirits gradually turned illusory, as though they were slowly being corroded by Qin Wentian. The tyrannical beast spirits seemed to have lost their temper, as though they were about to obediently submit to Qin Wentian. What's going on? Their gazes were fixated on the beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon. It was becoming more and more illusory, as though it would vanish at any moment. This caused a sense of unease to well up in their hearts. Could it be that this fellow could swallow the beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon for himself? Bzzz. The beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon transformed into a wisp of green smoke and entered Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian's demonic aura grew increasingly demonic as his black hair fluttered in the wind, exuding a demonic aura akin to that of Yao Sheng. Not good, he's using his consciousness to exit the testing grounds. Yu Qingfeng anxiously shouted. When he was with Qin Wentian, he remembered that Qin Wentian had casually asked him how to exit the testing grounds. Yu Qingfeng didn't think much of it and simply told Qin Wentian that as long as he gradually separated his consciousness from the testing grounds, he would be able to return. However, he needed a certain amount of time to do so, and it was impossible to do so during combat. If not, he would have already been killed. However, Qin Wentian seemed to be making use of the time he needed to devour the beast spirit to prepare to exit the testing grounds. Yao Sheng and the rest also discovered this. Their bodies dashed forward, only to see Qian Mengyu's silhouette flickering as sword lights swept through the air, blocking their path. Qian Mengyu, what are you doing? Yu Qingfeng coldly snorted. Killing the blue-scaled flood dragon is his credit, there's nothing wrong with him devouring the beast spirit, Qian Mengyu coldly replied. Get out of my way. Yao Sheng took a step forward. There's no more time. Yi Yu spoke in a low voice. After which, they only saw Qin Wentian's silhouette transforming into an illusory beam of light, completely disappearing from the testing grounds. This scene caused their countenances to turn extremely unsightly to behold. Qin Wentian, along with the beast spirit of the rank number 9 blue-scaled flood dragon, had left. Chapter 158. In the 7th level of the Emperor Star Academy, Qin Wentian's eyes abruptly opened as a demonic light flashed in his eyes. His entire demonic aura exuded a demonic aura. Qin Wentian didn't make any movements as his consciousness returned to him. He could feel that he had brought back the will of the demonic beasts. At this moment, his consciousness was filled with a tyrannical and violent will. Devouring the will of the demonic beasts. Can I really sense the existence of the astral souls of demonic beasts in the 9 heavenly layers? Qin Wentian murmured in his heart as he closed his eyes and slowly devoured the will of the demonic beasts. After which, he slowly stood up. The door opened, and Qin Wentian slowly walked out, exiting through the door. My will automatically withdrew, and wasn't destroyed. If there's a chance, I still want to enter. Qin Wentian stared at the door. Back then, Luo Qianya wasn't as lucky as him, and his will was destroyed. Hence, he hoped that his son, Luo Qianxiu, would be able to fulfill his wish and enter the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. What a pity, what Luo Qianxiu failed to accomplish, was accomplished by him, Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze onto the 2nd door. According to the notes of the Azure Emperor, as long as he could obtain the top 10 ranked demonic beasts in the War Beast Index, he would be able to enter the 8th level. In that case, he should be able to meet the requirements. Lifting his feet, Qin Wentian walked towards the 2nd door, only to see that there were several diagrams engraved on the door. These diagrams were none other than the top 10 ranked demonic beasts in the War Beast Index. How do I enter? An expression of contemplation appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Anyone who came here could enter the 1st door, but the 2nd door was tightly shut. Invade the corresponding demonic beast's will. A voice drifted over. Qin Wentian turned his head, but there was no one behind him. The owner of this voice should be the guardian of the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. It was as though guarding this level was his eternal mission. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze back, staring at the diagram of the green-scaled flood dragon. After which, a demonic light flashed in his eyes as the will of the beast gushed into it. An instant later, the door began to slowly open. It's open. Qin Wentian stepped into the door. Above his head, there were several diagrams of demonic beasts that glowed with a resplendent light, as though they had a life of their own. In this space, there was also a praying mat. Qin Wentian walked up to it and sat down cross-legged. The astral light in the air started to flow towards his body. Upon seeing such a miraculous scene, Qin Wentian closed his eyes. That flowing light seemed to contain an ancient memory within. That was the memories of the Azure Monarch. Everything in the world cultivates, regardless of humans or demons. It's just that there are differences between humans and demonic beasts. Demonic beasts are gifted in certain aspects, such as their physical bodies and defense. However, humans' ability to comprehend far surpasses that of demonic beasts. That's why humans are able to create all kinds of powerful techniques and powers to fight against the attacks of demonic beasts and break through their strong defenses. They are the favored children of heaven and earth. After demonic beasts grow stronger, they would break through to the heavenly Dipper realm and gain the ability to transform into a human, just like the human Wuxia. Demons are also pursuing the path of humans, but ultimately, they don't have the innate talent of humans. Even if a demon transformed into a human, they still wouldn't be able to perfectly combine the advantages of both. In that case, if one wants to pursue the path of perfection, there's only one way to do so. Cultivating demonic energy. If there's a human Wuxia who has the tyrannical physique and defense of demonic beasts, he could use the body of a demon to unleash the innate techniques he's proficient in. In that case, how much more powerful would he be? This memory seemed to be a rhetorical question, yet Qin Wentian's heart pounded with excitement. What a crazy idea, using a human as the foundation to cultivate demonic energy. Actually, among the human Wuxia, there's already someone who can do this. And that person is none other than the human Wuxia who possesses a demonic beast astral soul. An astral soul bestows this possibility upon them, allowing them to possess the savagery of demons. But ultimately, there's still a limit to this. However, this can be used as a foundation. If you want to unleash the full potential of a human using demonic energy, you must first have an extremely powerful demonic beast astral soul. If not, there's no meaning to it. As the voice drifted into his ears, Qin Wentian finally understood why the prerequisite to entering this door was to obtain a demonic beast spirit ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. He hoped that the person who entered this door would be able to condense an astral soul from a demonic beast ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. Only then would the Wuxia be able to absorb the tyrannical demonic energy from the astral souls. After which, a series of memories frenziedly flowed into Qin Wentian's mind, as the glow of light above his head gradually dimmed. After a long period of time, Qin Wentian finally finished absorbing the memories. When he opened his eyes, a sharp glint of light could be seen flickering within. In his mind, 3 words resounded unceasingly. Fiend Transformation Art. What a revolutionary cultivation art, what a bold creation. Great waves of shock rocked Qin Wentian's heart. He felt an indescribable sense of respect towards the creator of this cultivation art. Too awesome. The powerful Wuxia of the human race was truly too terrifying. He remembered the final words left behind by the Azure Emperor. Back then, I obtained the Fiend Transformation art by chance, and was deeply shocked by it. I knew that if this cultivation art were to be leaked out, I would definitely be hunted down by the Celestial Palace. Hence, I chose to cultivate it in secret. Unless my life was in danger, I would never use the Fiend Transformation art. But if there was a day when I died, wouldn't it be my sin? Hence, although I wouldn't impart the Fiend Transformation art to the descendants of the Azure Emperor Palace in order to avoid calamity, I'm also unwilling to let the Fiend Transformation art be lost. Qin Wentian understood that the Fiend Transformation art was similar to the Spirit Refinement method. Once it was made known to others, it would definitely bring him a calamity. Luckily, the Spirit Refinement method was a cultivation art that allowed one to condense one's divine energy. At the very most, they would only wonder why his attacks were stronger than others. There were 3 levels to the Fiend Transformation art. The first level, the Fiend Body Realm. By simulating the circulation of demonic qi in the meridians of demonic beasts, one would be able to forge a tyrannical physique similar to that of demonic beasts. The Fiend Body Realm, not only would one's fleshly body reach the demonic level, one would also need to strengthen one's internal organs to be as tenacious as demonic beasts, exuberant with vitality. At the same level, the vitality of demonic beasts was much more tenacious compared to humans. The second level, the Fiend Advent Realm. By using the yuan energy of powerful demonic beasts as the support, one would be able to condense a terrifying demonic body, akin to a demonic beast. At this level, it would be best if one had a powerful beast-type astral soul. The third level, the Fiend Transformation Realm. At this level, one would be able to easily transform into a demonic beast, perfectly combining the innate talents of both humans and demonic beasts. One would be able to grow the wings of a great rock, roaming the universe, or transform into a demonic dragon, shaking the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath, as waves of emotions surged in his heart. The Azure Emperor had actually left behind such a tyrannical cultivation art in the second level. No wonder the prerequisite for entering the third level was to obtain a war beast ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. From Qin Wentian's point of view, even the war beasts ranked in the 9th or 10th rank would be insufficient in front of the Fiend Transformation art. It would be best if one could condense a war beast ranked in the top few ranks of the War Beast Index. Only then would one's demonic energy be even more tyrannical, more suitable for cultivating the Fiend Transformation art. However, this caused Qin Wentian to be placed in a difficult position. Initially, he wanted to condense a summoning astral soul, but to cultivate the fiend transformation art, a powerful war beast astral soul would be more suitable. Let's not think about it for now. Qin Wentian didn't bother thinking about it. Instead, he started to cultivate the first level of the fiend transformation art. The creator of the fiend transformation art had an extremely deep understanding of the breathing techniques of demonic beasts, and thus created a unique breathing technique. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and calmed his heart as he cultivated. His breathing was erratic, sometimes manic, sometimes slow, before finally reaching a state of equilibrium. As he breathed in and out, his heart pounded, as the astral energy circulated within his lungs. It was as though every time he breathed, his internal organs would throb at the same time, and the throbbing of his heartbeat was extremely intense. Gradually, Qin Wentian entered into a marvelous state. He didn't realize that the blood in his body was boiling, circulating through his veins and meridians, as though it was coordinating with his breathing exercises. 2 days later, when Qin Wentian woke up, he discovered that his cultivation this time around had undergone an astonishing transformation. He couldn't help but feel bewildered. Could it be that he was so talented that he was extremely suitable to cultivate the fiend transformation art? It's time to leave. Qin Wentian stood up and left the Heavenly Star Pavilion. Cultivating the first level of the fiend transformation art required a huge amount of cultivation resources. After exiting, he instructed the Sky Transport Network to send a letter to Francis, telling him to handle this matter. After which, he continued his closed-door seclusion, focusing all his attention on his cultivation. Above the 9 heavenly layers, Qin Wentian's will arrived at the 5th heavenly layer. In front of him, there was an extremely resplendent demonic beast constellation in the shape of a flood dragon, hovering in the air, laughing arrogantly. Within the constellation, a terrifying amount of demonic beast yuan energy could be felt. Indeed, it's so easy to find this constellation. Qin Wentian understood. No wonder so many disciples from the transcendent powers wanted to enter the spirit beast testing grounds. Once they obtained a powerful beast spirit, they would be able to condense a tyrannical war beast astral soul. Outside the place where Qin Wentian was in closed-door seclusion, Fatty Fanlu, Qin Chuan and Qin Yao were present as well. "Uncle, is Wentian still cultivating?" Fanlu asked Qin Chuan. That fellow is really hard-working. He just came back from the Heavenly Star Pavilion, and now he's in closed-door seclusion again. He should have received some sort of inspiration. Qin Chuan replied. Currently, there were many things weighing on his heart. He could clearly see the changes in the Chu country, and his emotions were extremely complicated. Given his intelligence, he naturally understood that his father had been hiding something from him, and it was something extremely important. But now, there was no way for him to exit the Emperor Star Academy. Those from the royal clan were all watching over him. Currently, the royal clan had given him and Qin Yao an immense amount of pressure, and the Emperor Star Academy was the one bearing all of it. But now, the royal clan already wanted to make a move against the Emperor Star Academy. This powerful academy, which the royal clan had always been unable to control, had already become a thorn in the side of the royal clan. The 9 Mystical Palace was located in one of the 9 great continents of Grand Xia. Today, there were many from the 9 Mystical Palace riding on demonic beasts, heading towards the Chu country. Other than the 9 Mystical Palace, there were also other transcendent powers in the Qin continent, such as the Green Cloud Pavilion. The Green Cloud Pavilion towered into the clouds, and was built on top of the 9 mountain peaks. Numerous majestic halls stood in the midst of the misty clouds, resembling a celestial realm. At this moment, in a certain location within the Green Cloud Pavilion, a young lady stood there. This young lady was elegant and cold, and although she was young, she already possessed a great amount of charm. "Miss, do you have any instructions for me?" A person stood in front of the young lady, respectfully asking. "Help me investigate if the 9 Mystical Palace has a small country named Chu under their jurisdiction. If there is, investigate this person named Qin Wentian." The young lady was none other than Qian Mingyu. That fellow was able to snatch away the spirit of a war beast ranked 9th in the War Beast Index. Although it could be said that luck played a huge part in it, it also caused her to be extremely interested in him. She wondered if he would enter the spirit beast testing grounds again. Chapter 159. The yearly sacrifice day had already passed, and the Chu country welcomed a new year. However, at the start of the new year, the people of the Chu country didn't have a peaceful time. The flames of war had already been ignited, and the entire Chu country was filled with the smoke of war. Many of the troops stationed at the borders of the Chu country had already raised their banners to oppose the royal clan of Chu. Nobody would have thought that the peaceful Chu country would be rocked by such a terrifying wave in just a few short days. The authority of the royal clan of Chu was already wavering, on the verge of collapse. Those with more experience could naturally tell that the flames of war that were ignited in a few days wasn't something that could be accomplished in a day or two. Most probably, the royal clan had already been preparing for many years, and was only waiting for a single command from a certain location. Only then would the Chu dragon guards be able to attack with lightning speed, not touching the citizens of the Chu country, and not killing the troops that had submitted to them. In the Chu country, the cultivators of the Chu country didn't care much about the concept of the royal clan. The royal clan was the strongest power in the Chu country, and that was all. Hence, they didn't care who was the ruler of the Chu country, as long as it didn't touch them. Hence, nobody dared to anger the citizens of the Chu country. If all the Wu Xiu in the Chu country were to unite, even the royal clan would collapse. Hence, although the flames of war were blazing, within the borders of Chu, there were still many youths with good talent rushing towards the direction of the royal capital. This was because the various martial academies in the Chu country were about to start their recruitment drive. This was a chance that they had been waiting for over a year. Compared to the royal clan, they were more concerned about their own future in the martial path. And to those with outstanding talent, choosing between the Emperor Star Academy or the Royal Academy became a difficult choice. After the merger of the Royal Academy and the Godly General Martial Palace, the strength of the Royal Academy was comparable to the Emperor Star Academy. Not only that, the conflict between the two academies was already an open matter. As the youths of the Chu country gathered in the royal capital, a piece of news was transmitted from the royal capital. Today, the newly merged Royal Academy would bring along their most outstanding disciples to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. This news instantly swept through the royal capital, attracting the attention of countless people. This visit was extremely important to the decision of the youths. Today, Qin Wentian ended his closed-door seclusion. Although Francis had sent over many precious materials, it was still insufficient for him to cultivate the fiend transformation art. To cultivate the fiend transformation art, the requirement for demonic cores was exceedingly high. But luckily, what made Qin Wentian happy was that he discovered that he was extremely suitable to cultivate the fiend transformation art. It was as though this cultivation art was specially prepared for him. Even his blood seemed to be filled with an indescribable excitement. Qin Wentian inscribed a divine inscription painting, and at the same time, sent a letter to the divine weapon pavilion. He believed that the divine inscription painting would allow him to obtain the resources he wanted. Walking into the courtyard, Qin Wentian took in a deep breath of fresh air. A white silhouette flew towards him, directly leaping into his embrace. "Little rascal, did you miss me?" Qin Wentian rubbed Little Rascal's head as he smiled. Little Rascal's big eyes stared at Qin Wentian, as a smile appeared on its face. It was extremely adorable. "Wentian." Qin Chuan and Qin Ya walked over upon seeing Qin Wentian exiting his closed-door seclusion. Father, sister, Qin Wentian had a smile on his face, and upon seeing Qin Chuan's furrowed brows, he asked, "Father, is there something on your mind?" "Wentian, during these few days when you were cultivating, many things happened in the Chu country." Qin Yao pulled Qin Wentian to the side and sat down, as she recounted everything to Qin Wentian. After hearing Qin Yao's words, Qin Wentian's heart shuddered as he fell silent. Seems like Grandpa Qin had long since prepared for this. Qin Wentian sighed. For the past year, he had been working hard, wanting to rescue his father and Grandpa Qin. But in reality, there was no need for him to act. Qin Wu and Qin Chuan would be fine. Wentian, I have no idea about this matter. Your grandpa hid it from me. Qin Chuan stated. The struggle for power, that's how it is. If ancestor Qin Wu was harmed by the Emperor of Chu, and Grandpa Qin didn't do anything, the Qin clan could only be trampled on by others. This is what a man of character should do. Qin Wentian murmured. I'm afraid there's something fishy about the death of ancestor. If not, based on Grandpa Qin's strength, there's no way he would be able to cause so many people to rebel. Only ancestor Qin would have such prestige, Qin Chuan stated. As long as one lives in this world, it's best to live with a clear conscience. How can we allow ourselves to be played by others? A smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. The royal clan of Chu had never been a good bunch. Yes, if the Qin clan didn't rebel, they would only be waiting for death. Qin Chuan stood up, as he heroically stated. He didn't place much importance on the loyalty of the Qin clan. Leaving aside how Qin Wu died, just the fact that the Emperor of Chu suppressed the Qin clan and forced them to move out of Sky Harmony City was already enough. If they rebelled, so be it. At this moment, the sound of footsteps drifted over from the courtyard. Qin Wentian and the rest turned their gazes over, only to see Fatty Fan Lu walking over. Upon seeing Qin Wentian, he couldn't help but feel joy as he stated, "Boss, you've finally completed your cultivation." Today, Chu Tianjiao brought a group of people to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy, and even threatened to bring Sister Qin Yao away. That trash is truly too arrogant. What bullshit visit, he's here to provoke us. What a joke. Who is Sister Qin Yao to them? How can they bring her away just because they want to? And they even used this as an excuse to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. Qin Wentian was enraged. Leaving aside the fact that the Crown Prince of Snowcloud had betrayed Qin Yao, even if he didn't betray her, so what if Qin Yao didn't agree to be together with him? Could it be that just because he was the Crown Prince of Snowcloud, he had to force himself on her? Wasn't Xiao LV placing his position a little too high? I think so too. How arrogant. Let's hope the Emperor Star Academy would be able to suppress their arrogance a little. Boss, let's go take a look together. Fan Lu said to Qin Wentian. Right. Qin Wentian nodded his head. I'll go as well. Qin Yao stepped forward and pulled on Qin Wentian's hand. Qin Wentian looked at Qin Yao as he laughed, fine. What does this Crown Prince of Snowcloud count for? Is he even worthy of my sister? How dare he be so arrogant? Yes, in the future, my younger brother would definitely be more outstanding compared to this Crown Prince of Snowcloud. Qin Yao's smile was filled with hints of mischievousness. Qin Chuan, seeing how close the relationship between the siblings was, had a gratified expression on his face. In his entire life, the things he was most satisfied with were these two children of his. Although Qin Wentian was only his foster son, Qin Wentian's position in his heart was in no way inferior to Qin Yao's. Qin Wentian was like a son to him. The news of Chu Tianjiao bringing the newly merged Royal Academy to pay a visit was already known to everyone. Naturally, the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't obstruct them and opened the gates to welcome them. This was a provocation, and they could only accept it. In the central arena of the Emperor Star Academy, there were already many people gathered. Many students were discussing amongst themselves. Today, they saw many outstanding Yuanfu seniors of the Emperor Star Academy. Normally, these Yuanfu seniors would rarely appear in the academy, but at this moment, many of them were here. Evidently, the newly merged Royal Academy had given the Emperor Star Academy an immense amount of pressure. From afar, a group of silhouettes walked over. These silhouettes were all youths around 20 years of age, each of them exuding an extraordinary aura. Those who knew the inside story understood that this time around, not only did the newly merged Royal Academy come, there were also a few geniuses from Snowcloud as well as the silhouettes of the 9 mystical palace. This gave the Emperor Star Academy an immense amount of pressure. At this moment, Old Gu, who was seated in the spectator stands, furrowed his brows as he stared at the approaching silhouettes. This time around, the situation didn't seem too good. With such a lineup, it would be extremely difficult for the Emperor Star Academy to deal with them. Wentian, you're here. At this moment, Old Gu noticed that Qin Wentian was walking over, and he couldn't help but smile. Qin Wentian could be said to be the most outstanding student he had seen ever since he joined the Emperor Star Academy. Naturally, he was fond of Qin Wentian. Old Gu. Qin Wentian walked to his side, before turning his gaze to Mustang and bowing, "Teacher. Come sit beside me." Old Gu smiled, intentionally giving up a seat for Qin Wentian, causing those below to feel a wave of envy. Currently, Qin Wentian's status in the academy had already exceeded that of an elder. Back then, when he was assassinated, the entire academy was in a state of panic, and in the end, Qin Wentian even killed Jiang Zhen on the spot. In that case, Wentian shall be impudent. Qin Wentian humbly replied, as he sat beside Old Gu. I'm really waiting to see when you can be impudent. Old Gu stroked his beard, as he looked at Qin Wentian and laughed, that granddaughter of mine is extremely mischievous nowadays. When will you be able to tame her for me? Qin Wentian froze, as he blinked his eyes. Why? Are you unwilling? Old Gu put on a straight face, pretending to be angry. No. Qin Wentian hurriedly replied. That means you have such thoughts. I'll tell my granddaughter about it another day. Old Gu hurriedly spoke, causing Qin Wentian's countenance to stiffen. After which, a bitter smile appeared on his face, as he had fallen into the trap of Old Gu. Old Gu, you are really... Qin Wentian was somewhat speechless. What's wrong with that? In my opinion, Wentian, you and Miss Mo are quite compatible. Qin Yao, who was standing at the side, laughed. Right, even your elder sister has said so. Old Man Gu also smiled happily, and his furrowed brows also relaxed. At his age, seeing that the younger generation was young and talented, if they could find a good home, that would be the happiest thing for him. Chu Tianjiao of the Royal Academy pays his respects to the elders of the Emperor Star Academy. At this moment, a voice drifted over, instantly ruining Old Gu's mood. His countenance turned cold as he turned his gaze over, only to see Chu Tianjiao bringing a group of people over to the spectator stand. Although these people came with ill intentions, they didn't forget their etiquette. They all bowed in the direction of the Emperor Star Academy, showing their respect to the elders. May I know what identity the third prince is using to come to the Emperor Star Academy? Old Gu stared at Chu Tianjiao as he asked in a clear voice. The Crown Prince of Snowcloud, Xiao LVL, came to the Emperor Star Academy to escort Qin Yao back to her country. However, he was obstructed time and time again. As the host, I have no choice but to pay a visit. I would like to plead with the elders not to interfere in this matter, as it would affect the friendship between the Chu and Snowcloud countries. Not only that, the words of a lowly person like Chu are not enough to influence the decisions of the elders. Chu Tianjiao politely replied, not letting out a single drop of water. He came here in the name of the third prince, as well as in the name of the Royal Academy. Chapter 160. Old Gu stared at Chu Tianjiao as he laughed. I don't quite understand your highness's words. Crown Prince Xiao LVL wants to bring Qin Yao back to Chu. Does Qin Yao agree to this? How can the engagement of the Crown Prince of Snowcloud be a joke? Even if Qin Yao has some objections, she has to return to Snowcloud first. Chu Tianjiao calmly replied. You mean that even if Qin Yao doesn't agree, Snowcloud will still forcefully bring her back as a concubine. Not only that, Chu is willing to be an accomplice. Old Gu countered, this old man has lived for so many years, but this is the first time I've heard such a despicable act spoken of in such a manner. What's even more unbelievable is that it came from the mouth of the Crown Prince of Chu. Could it be that the royal clan of Chu has already fallen to such a state? Old Man Gu's words were sharp, especially the last sentence, as though he was implying something. Currently, the royal clan of Chu was at the heart of the storm, and the rumors of Qin Wu being sentenced to death were still spreading. Yet, Old Man Gu had pinned such a big hat on Chu Tianjiao, causing people to sigh in admiration. Even Chu Tianjiao didn't expect Old Gu's words to be so sharp. A cold glint of light flashed in his eyes. Old Gu's words, how can a person be untrustworthy? Marriage is a joke. Coming from the mouth of an honorary elder of the Emperor Star Academy, I, Chu, am truly ashamed. How ridiculous, when did I ever have a marriage engagement with Xiao LVL? Seeing how Chu Tianjiao kept mentioning the marriage agreement, Qin Yao couldn't help but be enraged. I only agreed to interact with Xiao LVL, and we don't even have any substantial relationship. Yet you're saying that I've already become his accessory? Old Gu coldly snorted, Chu Tianjiao, did you hear that clearly? The important point is that the people of Snowcloud already know about the marriage between Qin Yao and Crown Prince Xiao LVL. That's enough. What a load of nonsense. Qin Wentian couldn't help but shout, according to the logic of the third prince, if I start a rumor today, saying that the princess of Chu has a marriage engagement with me, Qin Wentian, wouldn't the princess of Chu have to marry me the next day? Impudent. Who do you think you are? How can you be worthy of the imperial princess? Sikong Mingyue's gaze was as sharp as a sword as he stared straight at Qin Wentian. What kind of status does the crown prince, Xiao Lu, have? Since the news of Qin Yao and the crown prince's relationship is already known by everyone, how could she not return to Snowcloud? Hee, that's what you think. In my eyes, be it the princess of Chu or the crown prince of Snowcloud, what do they count as? How can they be compared to my elder sister? Qin Wentian looked at Sikong Mingyue as he sneered, as for you, a loser, you still dare to act so arrogantly. As he spoke, a look of disdain flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes. Qin Wentian had seen many memories from the astral being, he had seen the dream of spring and autumn, he had also received the inheritance of the Azure Emperor and had gone to the spirit beast testing grounds to temper himself. How could his horizons be limited to Chu and Snowcloud? The world outside was extremely vast, and the crown princes of Chu and Snowcloud didn't count for anything. In the entire 9 continents, they were nothing more than ordinary commoners. His view of the so-called geniuses had also changed. Sikong Mingyue was one of the most talented geniuses in the entire Snowcloud country, but even so, he was still weaker than Luo Qianqiu. However, when compared to the geniuses in the spirit beast testing grounds, Luo Qianqiu could only be considered ordinary. In this way, he would be able to remind himself not to belittle himself, but also not to get carried away, thinking that he was a genius. He, Qin Wentian, was only a member of this boundless continent. He didn't have the qualifications to look down on others, but he also didn't need to look up to others. He could only take one step at a time, relying on his will and determination to advance steadily. Sikong Mingyue was humiliated by Qin Wentian in public. His sword intent gushed forth as he dashed towards Qin Wentian as he roared in rage, let's fight again. You are not worthy. Qin Wentian calmly stared at Sikong Mingyue, his eyes filled with disdain. That arrogant look in his eyes caused the killing intent radiating from Sikong Mingyue to grow even more intense. Only then did Sikong Mingyue's aura calm down. However, Chu Tianjiao continued, there's no point in talking too much. Today, the Royal Academy is paying a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. I have 5 Yuanfu cultivators on my side, and they wish to seek guidance from the outstanding students of the Emperor Star Academy. Why don't I see 5 from the Royal Academy? Old Gu glanced at the other party. Yi Wuk, first level of Yuanfu, invites Chiu Mo of the Emperor Star Academy. Yi Wuk replied. He was ranked number 5 among the 10 prodigies, while Chiu Mo was ranked number 4. Wang Teng, second level of Yuanfu, invites the leader of the Green Cloud Association, Ling Hua of the Emperor Star Academy. A silhouette stepped out, exuding a powerful aura. First Sword, second level of Yuanfu, invites the honorary elder of the Emperor Star Academy, Rain. Wu Chong, second level of Yuanfu, invites the leader of the Azura Association, Duidao. Xiao Lan, third level of Yuanfu, invites the leader of the Heavenly Demon Association, Shuelingfeng. Beside Chu Tianjiao, the 5 silhouettes all spoke. In an instant, an intense aura gushed forth, filled with an intense battle intent. The 5 of them directly issued a challenge. Not only that, the people they invited were all at the same cultivation level as the 5 of them. Not only that, they were all extremely famous in the Emperor Star Academy. 3 of them were the leaders of the 3 student associations, 1 was a member of the 10 prodigies, and the last was an honorary elder. Since when did First Sword become a member of your Royal Academy? And why haven't I heard of Xiao Lan and Wang Ting before? Old Gu's countenance turned sharp. The Royal Academy and the Godly General Martial Palace have just merged, so Old Gu naturally isn't familiar with some of them. As for First Sword, the matter today concerns the entire Snowcloud country. It's just that because of the merger of the 2 academies, I don't wish to bully the Emperor Star Academy. Hence, Crown Prince Xiao LVL and I will not participate in the battle. Chu Tianjiao slowly spoke, causing the pupils of the crowd to narrow. What an arrogant tone. Indeed, Chu Tianjiao was ranked number 2 among the 10 prodigies. In addition, Xiao LVL was the leader of the duo prides of Snowcloud country. There was no need to doubt the strength of the 2 of them. If Chu Tianjiao and Xiao LVL were to participate, the Emperor Star Academy would be in even more trouble. However, the 2 of them chose not to participate. This was a battle between Yuanfu realm cultivators. Regardless of the Emperor Star Academy or the Royal Academy, Yuanfu realm cultivators were the backbone of the academy. People at this level were the true elites of the Emperor Star Academy. From a certain perspective, the scale of this battle didn't lose out to the Junlin banquet. The 5 participants were all extraordinary characters. Yi Wuk, a Yuanfu realm cultivator of the 10 prodigies. First Sword, the leader of the 3 swords of Snowcloud country. Wu Chong, a genius disciple of the Godly General Martial Palace. As for Wang Teng and Xiao Lan, they weren't simple characters either. Especially Xiao Lan, who was at the 3rd level of Yuanfu, challenging the leader of the Heavenly Demon Association. Will the Emperor Star Academy accept the challenge? Chu Tianjiao's voice boomed out, reverberating in the air above the Emperor Star Academy. They had already investigated the cultivation bases of the geniuses of the Emperor Star Academy. From the looks of it, the Emperor Star Academy didn't have any intentions of taking advantage of the Emperor Star Academy. The gazes of the students of the Emperor Star Academy all turned to the elders in the spectator stands. Under such circumstances, how could they reject? Are all of you willing to accept the challenge? Old Gu didn't make the decision for the geniuses of the Emperor Star Academy. He knew that the cultivation bases of the 5 participants were exactly the same as their opponents. Not only that, they were all from the Emperor Star Academy. Fight. Only to see Chiu Mo stepping out, landing on the platform. His sharp eyes stared at Yi Wuk. His ranking was higher than Yi Wuk's, there was no reason for him to refuse. Yi Wuk, you're ranked within the top 5 of the 10 prodigies. At the very least, your position is unshakable. Chiu Mo indifferently stated as he stared at Yi Wuk. Yi Wuk's countenance was calm as he stared at his opponent. After which, he released his 3rd astral soul, causing a resplendent golden red light to flash about. Golden astral soul, 4th heavenly layer. Chiu Mo's countenance stiffened when he saw this. Not only did Yi Wuk open an astral gate and condense his third astral soul, he even condensed an astral soul from the fourth heavenly layer. This astral soul was in the form of a golden-red sharp sword. As the light shone, the sharpness of the sword intent was bone-piercing. Bzzz, a terrifying sharpness erupted forth as Yi Wuk stepped out, instantly causing Chiu Mo to feel an immense pressure. Behind his back, a pair of silvery wings appeared, gleaming with a resplendent light. This was his second astral soul, and after stepping into Yuanfu, even his wings seemed to have become real. After Wu Xiu stepped into Yuanfu, his arterial pathways transformed into a vortex, and the astral energy in his body transformed into yuan energy droplets. Each droplet was condensed from a vast amount of astral energy. These yuan energy droplets, which contained a terrifying amount of energy, would appear in the Yuanfu within Wu Xiu's body. Not only that, the newly formed Yuanfu would also begin to nurture an astral nova. The amount of astral energy a Yuanfu cultivator possessed was far beyond what an arterial circulation realm cultivator could compare to. That was a qualitative change, a leap in strength. The vast amount of astral energy they possessed would allow them to use many different techniques. Even their astral souls would have a corporeal quality to them. When they gradually nurtured their astral novas and stepped into Heavenly Dipper, they would then possess a corporeal astral nova. Chi. Just when Chiu Mo was in a daze, Yi Wuk stepped out. In an instant, countless golden swords converged together, transforming into a gigantic heaven-punishing sword, slashing towards Chiu Mo. Golden sword Chi enveloped the surroundings, and the might of this attack was akin to a terrifying tempest. An astral soul from the fourth heavenly layer could even amplify his attacks. How terrifying was this? Chiu Mo also released his own astral soul, but when faced against Yi Wuk's attack, he discovered that all of his defenses would be broken apart. A deep sense of disappointment could be seen in his eyes. The position of the fourth prodigy was about to change hands. The attacks of the two collided together. With just a single strike, Chiu Mo was blasted off the platform, causing the spectators to be stunned. Was the difference in strength between the fourth and fifth prodigies so great? Not only that, the fifth prodigy was even stronger. The first battle, the Emperor Star Academy was defeated. Yi Wuk cast his gaze in the direction of the Emperor Star Academy's spectator stand, only to see him bowing as he stated, "I won this round by luck." After speaking, he slowly retreated, returning to his original position. However, when the sound of his voice drifted into the ears of the spectators, it was extremely ear-piercing. Chapter 161. How could Yi Wuk's victory be due to luck? This battle was clearly a one-sided victory. Chiu Mo, who was ranked number 4 among the 10 prodigies, wasn't too far off from Yi Wuk in the past. But now, after Yi Wuk condensed his third astral soul, Chiu Mo was left in the dust. Yi Wuk retreated from the platform, only to see First Sword slowly walking up as sword intent gushed forth from him. Although Yi Wuk had also attacked with his sword earlier, he wasn't a pure sword cultivator. However, First Sword was different. From the aura he exuded, one could tell that he was an extremely powerful sword cultivator. The attacks of a sword cultivator would definitely be extremely sharp and powerful. Rain slowly walked onto the stage. She was dressed in white and had a youthful appearance. She was around 20 years of age and had many admirers in the academy. However, no one had been able to woo this outstanding beauty up until now. Please enlighten me. First Sword bowed to Rain. Although these people came here to provoke them, their etiquette was impeccable, making it impossible for others to criticize them. Please enlighten me. Rain returned the bow, her expression gentle and beautiful. It was hard to imagine that such a beautiful student would have such powerful combat prowess. First Sword stepped out, and in an instant, his sword-type astral soul blossomed with a resplendent radiance. A three-colored sword flashed in the air, incomparably resplendent, as though it wanted to blind the eyes of the spectators. 3-star astral souls, all in the form of swords. The gazes of the spectators froze. As expected of the leader of the 3 swords of Snowcloud, his dedication to the sword was extraordinary. A 3-colored sword-type astral soul could amplify the might of an innate technique. Rain also released her astral soul, causing a rain of stars to descend from the sky. 3rd astral soul, 4th heavenly layer. The spectators all had looks of astonishment on their faces as they stared at Rain's astral soul. Especially the students of the Emperor Star Academy, they couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Senior Rain is so powerful, and yet so low profile. Senior Rain is so much stronger compared to Chiu Mo's reputation is undeserved. Many people discussed in a low voice, their voices extremely ear-piercing to Chiu Mo's ears. What was even more interesting was that Rain had chosen the Rain astral soul. With her as the center, a rain of stars began to descend. At the same time, a pair of pure white wings appeared on Rain's back. At this moment, Rain was akin to an angel, much more beautiful than when Yi Wuke released his winged astral soul. So beautiful! Some young girls exclaimed. However, there were also people who were worried for Rain. With such a combination of astral souls, would Rain's attacks be strong? The first sword slowly walked out, the sword light tearing through everything. The tricolored sword transformed into 3 beams of sword light, descending from the sky and slashing towards Rain. However, Su Muyu's silhouette flickered unceasingly. The curtain of rain was still there, giving off a hazy feeling. When the 3-colored sword light landed, her silhouette was still standing in the curtain of rain, not being hit at all. Her footsteps. Qin Wentian noticed that both of Rain's legs were shimmering with astral light. He had once listened to Rain's lecture before. His senior apprentice sister Rain had some unique insights, and it was precisely because of Rain's lecture that he was able to comprehend how to spit out sword light from her mouth, and how to launch palm strikes with her feet. Seeing how the first sword's ferocious attacks were unable to touch Rain, Qin Wentian faintly felt that Rain would be able to win this battle. And indeed, the first sword's attacks were extremely impatient. His attacks were like a raging tempest, pressuring Rain to the point where she couldn't even breathe. However, when he slashed out with his strongest attack, he discovered that he was wrong. Rain's body actually began to dissipate, and at the same time, another silhouette walked out from the curtain of rain. Is this an illusion-type astral soul? The crowd was filled with disbelief when they saw Rain defeating the first sword with a single strike. Although it seemed that the first sword had the upper hand, he didn't pose a threat to Rain at all. Just a fluke. Rain retreated a few steps as she politely replied. Her words were the same as Yi Wux's, but it was extremely satisfying. Weren't these people very arrogant? Didn't they still lose in the end? Wang Teng leapt up the platform as a terrifying aura gushed forth from him. For this battle, his opponent was none other than the leader of the Green Cloud Association, Ling Hua. Qin Wentian's impression of Ling Hua was still pretty good. Back then, if it wasn't for Ling Hua's appearance, he would have already killed Luo Qinxiu. And if he really did kill Luo Qinxiu, based on the strength of the 9 mystical palace, even the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't be able to protect him. However, when he saw Wang Ting's attacks, Qin Wentian knew that Ling Hua was going to lose this battle. Not only Qin Wentian felt this way, when the spectators saw the two of them clashing, they were all shocked by Wang Ting's combat prowess. Wang Ting was akin to a primordial beast, tyrannical, suppressing everything in its path. Finally, Ling Hua was unable to withstand Wang Ting's attacks and was defeated. This Wang Ting must be a trump card arranged by Chu Tianjiao. He will definitely win. Qin Wentian stared at Chu Tianjiao. That calm countenance of his was filled with confidence. Since he came today, he wouldn't leave in defeat. The fourth battle, Wu Chong against the leader of the Azura Alliance, Dui Dao. Luo Qinxiu was also a member of the Azura Alliance when he was still in the Emperor Star Academy. However, other than those from the Knights Association, the other members of the Emperor Star Academy didn't care about identity or status. The Azura Alliance emphasized on killing and tempering themselves, raising their combat prowess in times of crisis. But in such a situation, they would undoubtedly stand on the side of the Emperor Star Academy. Wu Chong was a famous figure in the godly General Martial Palace. His 3 beast-type astral souls granted him terrifying combat prowess. However, Dui Dao wasn't any weaker as well. His attacks were unconventional, and each and every one of them was fatal. He simply didn't care about his life, and was extremely ruthless. However, Wu Chong's ruthlessness didn't lose out to Dui Dao's. The godly General Martial Palace was located in the dark forest, and the people there were all talents nurtured by the military. Naturally, they had to be ruthless. They used the dark forest as a training ground, and the tempering of their disciples was extremely crazy, not losing out to the cruelty of the Azura Alliance. Seeing how the two of them were still able to rely on their tyrannical willpower to continue fighting despite suffering numerous attacks, many in the spectators couldn't help but admire them. Finally, Wu Chong howled in rage. Relying on the power of his beast-type astral souls, he finally managed to suppress Dui Dao, blasting him off the platform, seizing the victory of the 4th battle. In this case, out of the 5 battles, the Royal Academy had already won 3. Their challenges had achieved glorious results. From now onwards, the people of the royal capital would say that the current Royal Academy could only be stronger than the Emperor Star Academy. This time around, other than the matter regarding Xiao LVL, the Royal Academy also wanted to create momentum. Since the Royal Academy wanted to make a move against the Emperor Star Academy, it was naturally impossible for them to start a war with the Emperor Star Academy. They could only slowly weaken the Emperor Star Academy. Hence, the provocation this time around was precisely to create momentum. Wanting to destroy the Emperor Star Academy wasn't something that could be done in a day or 2. Do we still need to proceed with the last battle? Chu Tianjiao cast his gaze onto the spectator stands as he calmly asked. His voice was extremely unpleasant to the ears of those from the Emperor Star Academy. Was there still a need to proceed with the last battle? Out of the 5 battles, they had already won 3. From a certain perspective, they were already victorious. Naturally. Old Gu's countenance was extremely unsightly to behold. After which, the leader of the Heavenly Demon Alliance, Zulingfeng, walked up the platform. Zulingfeng was an expert at the 3rd level of Yuanfu. Among the students of the Emperor Star Academy, those who surpassed this level would have already left the academy. From a certain perspective, Zulingfeng represented the pinnacle of strength among the students of the Emperor Star Academy. If one wanted to be stronger, they would have to leave Chu and pursue a higher level of cultivation. Strictly speaking, this battle of Zulingfeng's was no longer a battle for victory, but a battle to protect the glory of the Emperor Star Academy. Xiao Lan, this young man who had never appeared in the sights of the royal capital before, walked up the platform. He inclined his head and stared at Zulingfeng. That gaze of his gave off an extremely uncomfortable feeling, even sharper than the edge of a blade. You are not my opponent. Scram. Xiao Lan calmly spat out, his words causing a cold glint of light to flicker in Zulingfeng's eyes. He was the leader of the Heavenly Demon Alliance, and his status in the Emperor Star Academy was extraordinary. The Heavenly Demon Alliance was the first alliance to be established in the Emperor Star Academy, and had a symbolic meaning. But now, they were being humiliated. Not only that, out of the 5 that Chu Tianjiao brought, the first 4 were extremely courteous, regardless of their strength. However, the last one was the complete opposite. Savage, arrogant, as though he had the intention to humiliate the Emperor Star Academy. We will only know after we battle. Zulingfeng's voice was cold, as he retorted. Bzzz. A raging wind gusted by, as Xiao Lan's silhouette abruptly moved. His entire person transformed into an illusory beam of light as he stared at Zulingfeng. In that instant, Zulingfeng felt as though he was in a miraculous realm, and even if he wanted to raise his hands to resist, it was extremely difficult. In the direction of the Emperor Star Academy's platform, someone stood up with an expression of shock on his face. Boom! A sound rang out, as the entire space turned deathly silent. Zhou Feng's chest was split open, as blood flowed unceasingly. Scram! Xiao Lan's palms blasted out, as a white light flashed, blasting Zhou Feng off the platform. Old Gu's silhouette flickered as he appeared in front of Zhou Feng, catching him as he asked, "Are you all right?" "Teacher, I've disappointed you." Zhou Feng stared at Old Gu, as he apologized. So it turned out that the leader of the Heavenly Demon Association, Zhou Feng, was the disciple of the honorary elder, Old Gu. So what if you're defeated? Don't worry about it. Old Gu consoled, but his eyes were filled with sharpness. Earlier, when Xiao Lan attacked, he felt a pressure on a spiritual level. Such a person was truly terrifying. In the Royal Academy, there was no such person as Xiao Lan. The Emperor Star Academy is merely a so-so. Xiao Lan coldly spoke, as a hint of evil could be heard in his voice. In such a situation, no one could refute his words. 5 battles, 4 defeats. Today, Chu Tianjiao's domineering provocation was indeed prepared. If it wasn't for Rain's victory, they would have been in an even more miserable state. But even so, the ending was still extremely unsightly. Out of the 4 alliances of the Emperor Star Academy, 3 of the alliance leaders were all defeated. Such a crushing defeat would definitely have a great impact on the reputation of the Emperor Star Academy. Evidently, Chu Tianjiao's goal had been achieved. Chapter 162. Chu Tianjiao stood up. Although he had achieved a great victory, there was no trace of complacency on his face. On the contrary, he bowed to the elders of the Emperor Star Academy. "Elders, do you have anything to say?" Old Gu placed Xuelenfeng down and glanced at Chu Tianjiao. This person was neither arrogant nor rash, and his talent was extraordinary. Sadly, his ambitions were too great. He wanted to pacify the entire Chu country, allowing the royal clan to cover the skies with one hand. Without the Emperor Star Academy, without the Qin clan, only the royal clan reigned supreme. Victory and defeat are nothing out of the ordinary. The students of the Emperor Star Academy must remember today's battle and cultivate even harder in the future. Regardless of what Old Gu was thinking in his heart, he couldn't let Chu Tianjiao laugh at him on the surface. After all, although Chu Tianjiao's words were beautiful, who didn't know of his wild ambitions? Chu Tianjiao admires Senior's breadth of mind. However, I still have to bring up the matter of Qin Yao. I hope that Senior can be magnanimous enough to allow Miss Qin Yao to accompany the Crown Prince of Snowcloud back to Chu Tianjiao. Chu Tianjiao was still as polite as before, neither servile nor overbearing. You can just ask for Qin Yao's opinion on this matter. How can I make a decision for her? Old Gu unhappily replied. As long as the elders of the Emperor Star Academy don't obstruct us juniors, it's fine. Chu Tianjiao continued. So you want to use force? A cold light flickered in Old Gu's eyes. I don't dare to. This is originally a matter between juniors. It's best for us to handle it ourselves. Of course, if the Emperor Star Academy uses numbers to bully us, or if the elders obstruct us, I have nothing to say. Chu Tianjiao had pinned the blame on the Emperor Star Academy, causing the spectators to understand his intentions. Earlier, after he defeated the Emperor Star Academy, he intentionally provoked them. Didn't this mean that the Emperor Star Academy couldn't obstruct them from bringing Qin Yao away? If not, it would mean that the Emperor Star Academy was useless. The logic of the third prince really makes one not know whether to laugh or cry. Old Gu mocked. According to what you mean, if you win, you can just snatch Qin Yao away. If the Emperor Star Academy doesn't interfere, it would be considered as bullying? What kind of place do you think the Emperor Star Academy is? Since Senior understands it this way, I, Chu Tianjiao, have nothing more to say. If the Emperor's Star Academy insists on this, I can only leave. However, the reputation of the Emperor's Star Academy wouldn't be too good to hear. Didn't the Royal Academy just win a few battles that were arranged beforehand? Why do I feel as though the Royal Academy is standing above the Emperor's Star Academy? Qin Wentian couldn't bear to see this. Although Chu Tianjiao appeared humble, he was actually extremely domineering. The Emperor's Star Academy's preparations weren't sufficient, but you guys managed to find a few unknown experts from God knows where, and you call this victory? Qin of Academy. The Academy was, of the Qin. Academy of Academy, Emperor of the Academy of Tianov Academy, of the Academy, Tian Qin Academy of the Academy, of Wu of. 5 days later, the Emperor Star Academy can bring 5 people to pay a visit to the Royal Academy. The arterial circulation realm doesn't have a specific cultivation level, and the Emperor Star Academy can choose their disciples now. My Emperor Star Academy can guarantee that the Royal Academy will definitely recognize these 5 people. On the contrary, the majority of the martial academies in the royal capital are focused on guiding their disciples in their cultivation. Most of them are at the arterial circulation realm, and because of this, the competition at the arterial circulation realm is more suitable. 5 days from now, the Emperor Star Academy can bring 5 people to pay a visit to the Royal Academy. The arterial circulation realm doesn't have a specific cultivation level, and the Royal Academy can choose their disciples now. My Emperor Star Academy can guarantee that these 5 people are definitely not from outside, and the Royal Academy will definitely recognize them. Qin Wentian was undoubtedly hinting that his Emperor Star Academy wouldn't be the same as them, inviting unknown experts to battle. Old Gu glanced at Qin Wentian as he laughed. Today's visit to the Royal Academy was to slap the Emperor Star Academy's face. Qin Wentian's suggestion wasn't bad, but the main point was to ensure victory. After all, after the merger of the godly General Martial Palace and the Royal Academy, there would be many outstanding disciples. However, their advantage was none other than Qin Wentian. This suggestion isn't bad. Old Gu continued, most of the Yuanfu realm disciples have already graduated, so there's no need to compete. But as for the arterial circulation realm disciples, there should still be students from both academies. Regarding Qin Yao, the Emperor Star Academy has yet to express their stance. Qin Yao is already a student of my Emperor Star Academy. If the third prince dares to say that if our Emperor Star Academy wins 5 days later, we can snatch any beautiful female disciple from the Royal Academy, and the Royal Academy won't interfere, I have nothing to say. Old Gu coldly laughed. Based on Chu Tianjiao's status, it was impossible for him to make such a ridiculous decision. Chu Tianjiao fell silent. He knew that it was impossible for him to bring Qin Yao away today. Naturally, he already knew that it was impossible, but he still had to put up a front. Not only that, they had indeed embarrassed the Emperor Star Academy, and the result of this battle would soon spread throughout the royal capital, affecting the enrollment of new students. But what Chu Tianjiao didn't expect was that Qin Wentian actually wanted to return the favor to the Royal Academy. Farewell. Chu Tianjiao bowed once more, as he turned and departed. Those beside him followed suit, departing the Royal Academy. 5 days later, do you accept the challenge? Qin Wentian stared at the back of Chu Tianjiao as he asked. Any time. Chu Tianjiao's voice drifted over, causing Old Gu's countenance to turn heavy. He turned to Qin Wentian beside him. Wentian, with the merger of the 2 great academies, in addition to the fact that they will seek help from other experts, things are going to be a little troublesome. Today, they are the guests, and the rules are set by them. 5 days later, we will be the guests, and the rules will be set by us. Why must we fight separately? Qin Wentian's eyes flickered with a sharp glint, causing Old Gu's countenance to stiffen. After which, he patted Qin Wentian on his shoulders. The pressure on Qin Wentian's shoulders was immense. The crowd from the Emperor Star Academy gradually dispersed. Just as Chu Tianjiao had predicted, the result of the battle quickly spread throughout the royal capital. After the merger of the Royal Academy and the godly General Marshal Palace, the limelight was unrivaled, suppressing even the Emperor Star Academy, becoming the #1 academy in the royal capital. This caused many outstanding youths to waver. Initially, many of them had planned to enroll in the Emperor Star Academy for the entrance examination. Could it be that they had changed their minds? However, another piece of news circulated out. The Emperor Star Academy wasn't satisfied with their defeat, and would pay a visit to the Royal Academy 5 days later. And the person in the lead was none other than the top ranker of the Junlin banquet, Qin Wentian. With Qin Wentian's strength, it was naturally hard for him to meet a worthy opponent at the arterial circulation realm. However, what about the others? Would they have a chance of victory? Currently, Qin Wentian was in closed-door seclusion. After Francis received his letter, he followed Qin Wentian's instructions and handed the divine inscription painting over to the divine weapon pavilion. With the fastest speed, the divine weapon pavilion paid a hefty price to gather all the items that Qin Wentian needed and sent them over to Qin Wentian. These items included demonic cores, yuan meteor stones that contained the astral energy of the demonic constellations, as well as other resources that contained the essence of demonic beasts. Just the items sent over by the Divine Weapon Pavilion were definitely priceless. However, this was only the first level of the fiend transformation art that Qin Wentian wanted to cultivate. Not only that, it wasn't sufficient for him to reach the perfection boundary of the first level. In the future, he would need even more resources. As for the second level of the fiend transformation art, not only did he need resources, he also needed to condense a powerful astral soul from a demonic beast. However, that was something that would happen after Qin Wentian stepped into Yuanfu and condensed his third astral soul. The current him only wanted to cultivate the first level of the fiend transformation art, the demonic body transformation art. Qin Wentian did his best to cultivate, completely ignoring the happenings in the outside world. In the royal capital of Chu, other than the Sky Transport Network and Heaven's Wonder, there was still the Heavenly Treasures Network. The Sky Transport Network was the largest transportation network in the Chu country, Heaven's Wonder was the largest casino, and the Heavenly Treasures Network was the largest trading center for treasures. This was somewhat similar to the Divine Weapon Pavilion, but there were also some differences. The main business of the Divine Weapon Pavilion was the sale of divine weapons, while the Heavenly Treasures Network focused more on the transactions of rare and precious treasures. Hence, the Heavenly Treasures Network was also the largest auction house in the Chu country. The crystal auction building of the Heavenly Treasures Network was split into 3 levels, and was constructed entirely from crystals. The entire building was shimmering with a resplendent light, exuding a sense of extravagance and nobility. Today, regardless of whether it was the first, second, or third level of the crystal auction building, they were all filled to the brim. This was because the Heavenly Treasures Network had already released the news that an extremely valuable treasure would be auctioned today. This undoubtedly stirred the curiosity of many. There was no need to doubt the value of a treasure that could be auctioned in the crystal auction building. Hence, many nobles came today. Zhua Yin, Murin, Orkan, Yizhan and Lu Yen, Autumn Snow and her friends came as well. They all wanted to see what the Heavenly Treasures Network was going to auction. On the first level of the crystal auction building, within a crystal lotus, a beautiful lady clad in translucent robes stood there. Her beauty was breathtaking, causing people to sigh in admiration. The lotus slowly rose up into the air, and the lady had a charming smile on her face. She held a painting in her hands as she spoke to the crowd. The treasure being auctioned today was created by one of the most outstanding geniuses in the history of the Emperor Star Academy in the Chu country. In fact, I feel that the word "one of" should be removed from its name. As the sound of her voice faded, many in the crowd were stunned. The most outstanding genius in the history of the Emperor Star Academy? What a tantalizing question. When he was 16 years old, he had yet to step onto the path of cultivation. At that time, his marriage engagement was broken off and he was humiliated. However, he didn't give up. On the contrary, the first astral soul he awakened originated from the third heavenly layer, and his second astral soul originated from the fourth heavenly layer. In a short span of a year, he stepped into the peak of the arterial circulation realm. Not only that, he created a miracle, becoming the champion of the Junlin banquet, defeating Luo Qianxiu and Sikong Mingyue. The hearts of the crowd trembled as they guessed who she was talking about. Autumn Snow's countenance turned pale. Wasn't the marriage engagement broken off and humiliated? Wasn't this referring to her? At this moment, she only felt a burning sensation on her face. Not only that, he is also the most outstanding genius in the Chu country. At the age of 17, he was able to inscribe a divine imprint that even heavenly dipper sovereigns were in awe. That was a third-level divine imprint, a human-shaped painting that had never appeared before in the history of the Chu country. The young lady smiled as she spoke. Only now did they realize that Qin Wentian was truly outstanding. Autumn Snow was even thinking in her heart that if that incident didn't happen back then, that naive young man would still be together with her right now. Back then, for that painting, even the heavenly dipper sovereigns, Senior Qin Wentian, gave it his all and even promised Mu Rou a favor. Today, this is the second painting created by Grandmaster Qin Wentian, a unique masterpiece that surpasses the previous one. Maybe, it would be highly regarded by heavenly dipper sovereigns. The young lady smiled as she swept her gaze across the crowd. With just a few sentences, the atmosphere was pushed to the peak, causing the blood of many in the crowd to boil. Just the fact that even heavenly dipper sovereigns wanted this painting was sufficient to drive many people crazy, not to mention the value of the painting itself. Seeing the performance of the young lady, a smile appeared on Liuyan's face. Seems like her decision to send the painting to the Heavenly Treasures Tower for auction was the correct one. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.